Oh.
Is there a password?
Yes, there is.
You need it, Brianna.
This is crazy. The process is crazy.
912.
Okay, Maren.
769.
All right, guys, call to order. Let us pledge to the flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, madam. You're like, hello.
Chair Lindstrom,
Here.
Mr. Williams,
Here.
Mr. Jones,
Here.
Mr. Buckbinder,
Here.
Mr. Sorofsky,
Here.
Mr. Kinsky,
Yes.
Ms. Maloney.
All right, announcements and communications. For the November 30th workshop meeting, I am going to make a motion that we keep it because as you saw in your pack, we hopefully will have some information from a gateway meeting that hopefully we will make a motion to approve regarding the rich application, so we could have some more data on that to be able to go through. We also just got from the town board, yay, short-term rental language to add a short-term rental piece of code into our code, and also to adopt into the comp plan the open space inventory, the historic reconnaissance, and the natural heritage plan. So you all have those in a big pack that Brianna just gave to you. I figured everybody could look at it. That way we could give any comments, changes, we could do it all at the workshop meeting and send that to the town board in time for their meeting. Correct, Mike?
Correct.
Perfect.
The public hearing for those is the 9th to the 10th of December, so we won't be talking about it until the end of December or January at the earliest.
Anyway, but that'll give us time, if people have comments, for me to write things up and officially send it to
Correct.
town board.
Brianna, when did you send that to us? I don't know.
This afternoon.
Today.
This afternoon. It
That's
came
why.
in.
It
this
just came to them
Yeah.
today.
It was
Okay.
late this afternoon.
What's the time? I forget.
I was gonna say, you might make it
6:30.
6:30.
6:30. Okay, I'll second that motion because I also think that we should have it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain.
Oh, I guess it is scheduled.
It is scheduled, exactly, we just always have to.
We always cancel
We
it.
always can cancel it, because if you keep it scheduled, then it's less of a regulatory burden to call, we want to do one that isn't, it's easier to cancel it. Trainings, we have a plethora, and everybody's on top of them. My two laggards are catching up rapidly under the wire. Around the final stretch, Eddie's in the lead.
An hour and a half.
Also, the state should be careful what they wish for. If you have to attend meetings and do training, there's going to be no people who are going to still be eligible for these boards.
It's true.
Be careful.
Yeah, well, the language is permissive. They may impose sanctions.
It may impose sanctions, exactly. Action on the minutes. I will admit, I've spent probably way too many hours on the rest of this. I have not read the minutes. So if other people, we are having to go back to the minutes these days. I would make a motion to table them until I can read them, or unless everybody else saw them and thought they were sufficient.
Second that motion.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstain. We will table those and take them up next meeting. First on the review is, also, in reviewing the meeting minutes, it is quite hard to hear people that are back here. So when you're making comments, big projection voice, as AM said, and speak big toward the microphone. So this is planning board 2020-07, a lot line.
Hang on one moment, I don't know why we're not hearing on the TV here.
Because nobody's talking.
I only have 2 maps for this. I'll put one middle and then one.
No, but you should be hearing. Laura.
This is the Solberg. Yeah, I've got the ones I got. I can see what it's about.
Right, you won't be hearing Maren.
It's not, this is like the tiniest.
So I'll put one here.
So this is a minor lot line adjustment resulting in no net lot size change.
Mark, can I interrupt? Who
Yep.
is here for the applicant on this, so I get the right person unmuted?
Heather.
Okay. Hi, Heather.
Mike,
Turn the volume up too loud.
Volume works.
We can hear Heather.
These are the wetlands.
Okay, you want to give a quick test for me, Heather?
sure. We introduced this concept last meeting where Mr. Salzberg is going to exchange equal portions of land between his two lots. The point of this being to preserve the area by his pet cemetery from being encroached on should he sell off the other lot at some other point. He just wants to make sure nobody puts a fence line right on the pet's grave. So it's pretty simple, not very much square footage at all being transferred between the two lots.
We didn't see this before, guys. The ZBA saw this before.
Oh, no, you saw this last month. I dropped off 4 copies at the town for this month by the submission date. You should have had 4 hard copies of the map.
We just haven't reviewed it before, I'm saying. I was clarifying that this came for an official review at the ZBA.
Oh, okay, sorry. Also having trouble hearing a little bit. Okay.
And it was different when it came from the ZBA. The
Yes.
adjustments were of different amounts. So they said, they tabled it and they referred it onward to us. So for some background here, guys, both of these lots, if you haven't looked at it, are non-conforming for R5. So it's a 3 acre and a 1 and change acre. And Mr. Solberg owns all the land around it. So the back lot that you see is his, and then the lot to the south is also his, just to sort of give range. This extra map that I gave everybody shows what the lands look like, where the lines go through to the back lot and the bottom lot. There's a pond, there's a lot of hydric soil, and there are a lot of wetlands. So sort of going right across the middle of the lot that they want to, the 2 front ones that want to do the adjustment. In the back, to see if the lay of the land, you have a lot. He's not working on the back lot and the bottom lot per se, but that just gives sort of a look since we don't have 3D.
All right, is this Solberg?
Yes.
So why doesn't it do it? I mean, I don't recognize them.
Pardon? You gotta speak. I get a screen under 2 maps.
Okay, why doesn't match what I see here?
I'll show you.
Maybe I don't recognize them.
This pond
Mhm.
is this pond. So Mr. Solberg owns also this lot,
Okay,
which is what's highlighted here.
uh-huh,
And then the second map is showing, again, here's that same pond. This is the lot here. She's just showing,
Some of the-
surrounding.
She's showing the
I'm
area.
just showing the area because
Okay.
those were the things we asked for.
Okay,
We used to have an aerial or greater look.
okay, sorry.
So the one difficulty I would present with this lot line is each one is making a non-conforming lot more non-conforming if you look at each one in its individuality. So moving the lot line for the 1 acre farther into the 3 acre makes the 3 acre more non-conforming. And we're moving the lot line for the 3 acre into the 1 acre also makes it, even though the net square footage change is not any different, each individual act is making a non-conforming lot more non-conforming, which if you read our qualifications on lot improvements, they should involve the addition of land to an existing parcel or lot line adjustment such as to improve the ability of that parcel to comply with setbacks or other building standards, or increase suitability of the parcel for building development, or add to the availability of open space, or adjust a boundary line located on or produce a corrected deed if a map reflects the same is desired for recording purposes. Number 2, it should not reduce the ability of the lot from which the lot improvement parcel is taken or reconfigured to comply with the applicable development standards of this chapter. So it's sort of doing that, number 2.
I don't see your objection because you can't reduce something that's a yes or no. The lot doesn't conform now. You're not making it less conforming, you're just changing its area.
A different conform.
Right, in other words, you're not turning a conforming lot into a non-conforming lot.
The two lots were non.
So I don't see that it meets
And
Two
they're
lots will
adjusting
still be
the
the
objection
same
really
amount of land.
matters because you're not, what it's dealing with is a situation where you're impairing its ability to be conforming. Unless the zoning law changes, it's always going to be non-conforming.
Well, the one thing they could do, since he owns all of the land, as just an idea, is you could transfer some land from this is just a trial balloon,
Right.
from the other lots, make number 3, make the one lot that's 3 acres conforming, and do the transfer, then you wouldn't be doing 2 small non-conforming transfers.
The other question I have is, isn't that kind of decision something that the zoning board should have gone one way or the other on?
They did, they tabled it, and the zoning board said, no, you could not do it. So
What
they came back
the
with this
zoning
new.
board did, when they came before the zoning board, they had a different configuration.
Right.
And the zoning board said, we have an idea. If you do it this way, it's gonna be better. They were gonna have 3 lots, I believe.
No, they're gonna same number of lots, but the amount was different.
Was one even much
So it was
smaller?
the exact same motion that you're doing, but the movement of the lots the lot lines was bigger. And they said that you were making, because you would have been,
Didn't net out to
it
zero.
didn't net out to 0, exactly. So they said, they rejected it, and they said, no, you can't have, and they tabled the application, the applicants. And now they're doing the same movements, but it nets out to 0.
But isn't ultimately the question of whether that conforms or is going to pass zoning muster still have to be, in other words, we're just taking something that really isn't ours and saying we're going to make a decision about it. But if the zoning board has tabled it, they're going to see
No,
it.
the zoning board tabled it so they could have the opportunity to perhaps reconfigure it so that it would not need a variance.
And the code
That's
enforcement,
what they've done. So now they've come here because with this configuration, they don't need a variance.
and that's what the first
That's
letter in
what-
the file says.
That's
Jerry
what
says
the
they don't
code
need it.
enforcement officer said, so we either stick with what he said, or we can refer it back to him and say that we are not in agreement, or we think that this is not changed.
I don't think we do that. That's his job, is to determine what it needs, and then it comes to us. That's his determination, not ours. He's made that determination.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean, I look at this, I think it's like a little, like, weird maybe, but I don't see any problem with it.
no, I agree, I don't think there's any problem with it, it's sort of a missed opportunity that
To
maybe
make it
you,
more conforming.
to make it more conforming. So Heather? can you
I'm
hear us?
not sure what we're getting at here because we're trying to avoid the pet cemetery. That's between the existing structures. So we can't move the pet cemetery. We can't move the houses. We are definitely going to have to push that line closer to the northerly lot in order to avoid the pet cemetery, which will cut into the setback. There's no way to avoid that.
Heather, why are they making the lot line to be changed to begin with?
Because it happens to be that the pet cemetery is on the current lot line between the 2 parcels.
And then if
He
you
just wants to make sure that nobody puts a fence over his pet's grave. That's really all that he wants. It's really,
he wants the pet cemetery to all be on one
If
lot.
I could summarize, I think what the chair is getting at is that you have, these lots are, one of the lots is non-conforming for 2 reasons. That's the northern lot, it's non-conforming both because it's too small and because it violates setback. There's nothing we can do about the setback and still achieve this purpose. The second lot is non-conforming just because, well, I guess it's not too small, it's exactly big enough. What the chair is suggesting is that since the same person owns 2 additional lots, which are contiguous to these lots, you could take land away from one of the larger vacant lots to make it so that the northern lot came into compliance in terms of total area, which would not address the setback issue, but it would address the area issue. It's a nice idea. We have no basis to require that or to reject it on that basis, but perhaps the applicant would be amenable to that idea, just because this is sort of a nice thing they're trying to do for the future already relating to their pets. Perhaps they could make it an even nicer thing by remediating one of the points of nonconformance.
The land that we would be adding would be swampland. So it's not really going to help the developability of the smaller lot as it is. We also came with the idea that if we remove the need for an area variance, there shouldn't be a problem with this. So I'm a little thrown by this being such a problem at this point. We've been at this for, I think, 4 months now.
Heather, I don't know if you can hear Barn from back there, said, it's not a problem, it was just a suggestion. Which
Okay.
planning board is supposed to do is look to see if there's anything, that we can suggest that might make
They can
things.
suggest, because
better.
the back lot, Heather, is 9 acres, so it'll never be able to be divided into 2 lots because it's 5-acre zoning. So you could take that back lot, give 2 acres to the 3-acre lot, and now you have a 5-acre lot, a 7-acre lot. The 1-acre lot stays non-conforming because you really can't move stuff around. And he just ends up with a lot more conforming lots, but if he's got no interest in doing that, then it is what it is.
I think it's probably safe to say that he's not interested in doing that. He really just wanted to move the line over, but then we had to add land to the lot in order to avoid the area variance. I mean, I'll ask him, but I really don't think that is what he wants to do.
Well, do you want to, we could bring this back up also at a workshop meeting, ask him just to see, and then we could, if he decides that no, he's got no interest in that, and if you wanted to go through the sort of 3-card Monte, moving all the stuff around, he would be more than happy to speak with him, and then if he doesn't, we can certify it at the end of the month. Would that work for you?
That would be nice. Yeah, I don't want to go a whole other month with waiting for this. So if that would appease the board, I'll contact the client and see if he's interested in dividing the land between his 3 lots.
That'd be great, and if not, we'll take it as it is at the end of November, okay?
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, next is another lot line for the Wars family.
Yes, another funny little lot situation. This one's a little more complicated because there's an issue with how the Ulster County has labeled the lot in question versus how Bill Eggers, our head surveyor, has interpreted the deeds. But I have all of that. I had given all of that paperwork to Becky when she was doing the zoning classification. I believe she forwarded that on to the board.
You have enough.
So the county parcel viewer, as Mike often points out, for a lot of things, it's not perfect.
Right.
You can miss streams, you can miss wetlands, you can have the borders too long, you can have to go to the road, not go to the road. So this is where the house is. Subdivision, if the deeding, I guess, is all correct. So you have the one big piece of land that the Abe Warsh, who's now deceased, as following his wife. You got the 104 big piece of land. Across the road, you have another 14-acre piece of land. And then there's a house there on a 0.6 that really looks like it should be part of the 14-acre. But it's not legally. Correct, Heather?
Right, they want to keep the, Candace wants to keep the family home on her property because they're going to be selling off the 104 acres. So they wanted to make sure that the family home stayed in the family.
So that way the house, which is across the street anyway, making it sort of a more natural place for it to be, stays on that 14 acres, which is farmland and has a barn otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other side of the road, they do what they want with the other side of the road.
Right.
Can I just say maybe as a way of avoiding some of the potential complexity that in the letter from the code enforcement office, they are directing us to accept the research from Medenbach and Eggers. So I think like the whole confusing thing, I started to try to puzzle it out and then I just stopped because we're being given information that we should just accept what's on the map. So just hoping we could avoid any discussion of things.
That, I sort of agreed. I said that they did the interpretation and they spent the time on it, so it's fine. Yeah, exactly.
Lauren, do you mind if I ask Heather a quick question? Because I have been successful in getting incorrect parcel viewer corrected. So is it that parcel viewer just totally has the lines in the wrong places, or is it just that it looks different?
No, you'll see that the 104 acres, when it was originally laid out, crossed over Cherrytown Road. If you look at the lot line that we're planning on deleting, if you draw it all the way across, it's a full rectangle.
Okay.
Now the other piece, you'll see that the piece on the northeast corner of Cherrytown Road that belongs to the big lot, the Ulster County parcel viewer says it's a separate tax lot altogether, and the deed that they reference in it is in the completely wrong place. Whereas Bill's done the deed research for the 104 acres. He is 100% convinced that that land is part of the 104 acres. It's not its own separate tax parcel with a different deed. And that's what I provided to the zoning board, was the deed, that description that was connected to the Ulster County parcel viewer's description didn't match where the location of the property was. It was describing something closer to Villa Veritas than we are here.
And see, but if you're going to file a new map, it's may correct it on its own. So
Okay.
I'll follow up with real property just to see if they can correct it in the short term.
Okay, great.
Anybody else have any other questions? I see we can leave it up there.
I think
we
can move forward with that.
Going twice, so I have a motion to certify the plan, the lot line improvement.
I'll make the motion to certify the lot line.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes. All right, Heather, that one's taken care of.
Thank you so much.
Michael? Is that, oh, there he is, Michael.
Planning board 2020-08, minor subdivision. He's taking the land at 64 Rock Hill Road, SBL 77-4-18-110. First, with two parcels. One, a little bit under 7 acres, which has an existing up on the side of the road on the hill with a heck of a view, and the rest of it to remain 54 acres. That remaining 54 acres, they propose adding a single family home as well as septic. The parcel does contain Ulster County Habitat 4 land, farmland of statewide importance, rock outcroppings, ledges, steep slopes, and within 500 feet of the Harmden House, which is a registered historical structure, and the Peters Kill runs a little bit along the western parcel boundary. There's a parcel boundary that is close to the toe, and then another boundary that goes out of the boundary on Rock Hill, and the boundary that goes out to County Route 6, and then another on Towpath. as far as road frontage. There's a lot of potential road frontage.
Wait, it's on towpath. Oh, I
It's
see.
not on, there's two little things like towpath owns a little strip of land right along towpath, but it almost gets there.
Oh, I see. Towpath Road LLC. Got it.
Whoever towpath road LLC is. Mr. Fink, are you there to present?
I'm sorry, say what? Hello? Can you,
Did you hear my sort of introduction of the project? Anything sort of to add, comments?
no, but I'm here to answer any questions. I don't know, what you're looking for, other than that we just want to take the house, off the rest of the property.
I guess I have one question, and you might not know, the answer might be, I don't know. Do you have plans to continue to subdivide the rest of it or not, or you just don't know?
We don't know. Right now, we have somebody that would like to buy the rest of the land as one parcel. So hopefully that will happen.
Because you indicated on the plan, one place where you would propose another house along Rock Hill.
Yes, that we did because it was required.
Okay. You had a couple waiver requests. Thank you very much for the cover sheet with that. And one was to not do topo. If you could do just the Ulster County 2-foot contours, which are not very expensive or laborious. I personally would like that because it is very sloping off of Rock Hill, so we could, that way we have on file the lands with all of the
slopes. Okay, the house encompasses all that land, all the slope. So we tried to give the house everything it could along the road that would be useful, because it is that slope and the rest of the land is below.
No, I mean, the way you cut it up works very nicely. It just would be good to have the topo on there, so if we all leave and move to Sri Lanka, the next gang can see what's going on.
So you want them to be what contours? I didn't make that out.
I got it.
How many, what was the footage on the contours? 20 foot?
20 sorry, 20 foot, I meant 20 foot.
Okay, okay.
20 foot.
Lines.
But 2-inch contours.
All right.
I agree, they asked for a waiver also, and other comments to.
No, I'm fine with the ask for the waiver.
Yeah, asked for a waiver for numerous things that
I
on
see
our,
it, yeah.
so one would be stormwater, we don't really need a stormwater plan.
Natural features.
The area to be disturbed, also nothing is going to be disturbed, so at this juncture, we don't need any of that.
Soil types, he's not doing anything, so I don't need that. You asked for the topo.
The topo, and then if it's not that hard to sort of show, well, we have some Ulster County habitat lands, but they're way in the back. Close to not where they're doing any of the subdivision. It's down towards Peters Hill and.
The wetlands are right along the creek.
Exactly. If you could just draw the 100-foot, you're not touching or doing anything with it, but just put the line for 100-foot setback, so it's on the map.
They have the 100-foot.
They do?
We have the floodplain, not the setback.
It's the floodplain.
I think the line is on for the 100-foot.
No, it just shows where the floodplain goes. It's the line.
The floodplain line?
There's the floodplain line, but then there's another line which is just the setback from the high water mark of Peters Hill, which could or could not be exactly the same.
Okay.
It kisses it at one point when there must be a cliff.
Just so it's, the more it's on the map, the better for the future.
Okay,
Let me do some of the nitty gritty. We require across the streets to have all the SBL deed library page for contiguous parcels that are also across roadways and waterways. Everybody forgets to do that. So you've got some of the roads on the other side, you just need to fill that in.
okay. All adjoining owners?
All adjoining owners. So you have all the adjoining owners who are affected except for ones when you cross a road. So that we count that as an adjoining owner.
Okay, got it.
They have the existing land conditions, they show fences, and unless people wanted to see the what's wooded, what's not, it's pretty much all wooden.
Yes, it is.
Then I have a question for you, Mary Lou. Should we have a little, a small map we can call out that shows where the historical structure is? Like the little map you have in the corner that we have, should it be? So because we'll have to refer this to our, to SHPO and to our town historic, so they can just have a look. They're not doing anything to it. They're obviously not really causing any difficulties that would.
What part of the parcel is that house on?
It's not on the parcel, it's within 500 feet.
But I'm sorry, I should have asked, where on the?
It's on County Route 6. It's that big old stone house. It's on County Route 6, right where, like Churchill Road. It's between Churchill Road and County Route 6, I believe. It's that like triangle.
That triangle, okay. But it's within 500 feet.
Yeah, because it's across.
Right.
So on the big map, I don't think you should call it out, but maybe on the little one in the corner? Or we just don't call it out? Opinions?
Or we can, in the application, they refer to it.
Yes.
Do they put the actual address on?
No.
No. And the application right now, we don't have the actual address.
Right, just this whole
Right.
rows. So just provide us with the address. I think that's fine.
In the application?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Send us a follow-up letter that says how you like to locate it at.
Did you get that, Mike?
You want the address of the Hasbrook?
Yeah, we can probably find it ourselves. But the address of the house, yeah. So
Okay, okay, you want that on the map?
If we could, yes, but we don't really need to, but just let's do it, so we refer to it in the,
Just a letter that
Just a letter
clarifies
that
the
says
address
where
of the
it is.
historic property.
I'm sorry, would you say again, please?
just a letter saying where it is. It doesn't have to be indicated on the map.
Okay, got it.
I think that covers the bulk of it here, guys. Yes,
Property, asking us to soil testing for septic. And some places we don't ask, is they showing septic? Should we ask for soil testing?
It shows something.
No, I don't know, but, any soil testing, is that realistic?
That would be part of the, it's part of the health department.
so as Mike, as you know, you've done these before. We'll have to get a statement from you from either the health department or a licensed engineer certifying that the rest of the parcel does have soils and ability to support septic.
Okay, if Bob James were able to be here tonight, but he's not because he had an emergency, a death in the family. We've already done that. We have health department approval coming just for this purpose, but we already went out and he found multiple good sites.
Perfect.
So I'll
Yeah, just get a letter from him or the DOH.
okay, got it.
notice that they send out. So yes.
Okay, got it.
Um,
Can I ask a question just about binding or non-binding nature of these sketch plans with these minor subdivisions? So if there's like the proposed home site on these, and say they sell the parcel and the new person wants to build their home in a totally different place than where it's proposed on the map. What are the, yeah, this is just a
It's
suggestion.
just showing you it.
They're like, it's conceivable that a house can be built
Yeah, the
here,
building,
for
they'll
example.
go to the
in
building
Warwick.
department for their building permit, and if
Right.
it fits into the zoning.
Okay, so
they'll
this
be
isn't
allowed to
in
build
any
houses.
way like a site plan, like the person who wants
No,
to
no,
end
no,
up
no.
building a house could put it
Yeah.
wherever they want, as long as it meets the requirements
Yes.
of the, that's what I thought, I just wanted to make sure.
Yes, you were
And
correct.
I also have a question. Not in any way, I don't think it impacts this property, it just causes me to say, so when does, this is a minor subdivision. When does something become a major subdivision? If they were to come back and say, well, not only are we gonna put the proposed house, they being the next owner if they sell it,
It's,
we're gonna put another house in addition to the proposed house that you guys are.
if they came back again, it would be a major subdivision.
If they're re-subdivided.
If
Okay,
they're
do we
If
need a
they're just
lot?
putting up another house because, and they have plenty of room, and they're keeping that lot as, lot one is
24 acres.
as one lot, they can do that.
Another house meaning not another house, period.
Right, but if they decide to make 2 lots out of lot 1.
Right.
Then they're gonna come here for a major subdivision.
Okay.
If they
All right.
add another lot.
And that doesn't need to be put on to any kind of map that any.
No, that's
It's
okay.
just part of our.
That's our
No,
definition.
but we can write onto the map that any further, like we did for the Shane Bricks.
I thought we did.
We did that, we could write a map saying any further subdivision will be considered a major subdivision. It should be known if the person came back anyway, but it could.
Well, let's do that. 'cause we
Greater
did it for
clarity.
Quincy. Let's do it, maybe make it just a good practice,
Right,
so that whoever the purchaser may be,
they know.
they know.
It helps the purchaser because they might not know.
I have a question. What is, ever understood, what is the difference between a major and a minor subdivision in the town of Rochester?
In Rochester, if you do a private road, it is a major subdivision.
Okay,
You have a minor subdivision in theory
39.
with 30 acres or 30 houses if they all had the proper frontage onto a road.
it's actually anytime there's a shared entity. If there was a shared well, anything that's shared between multiple lots makes it a major.
okay, got it.
So if it's not shared and you've got the frontage, which is a bit different because other towns quite often, if it's 4 or 5 or
Yeah.
above, it becomes a major.
Well, the
So
the other
you can,
reason-
go, sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Just the other reason for becoming a major is you're already subdivided it once, and then you do it again.
Right.
That
That's-
automatically kicks in the major. So
Right,
also-
that's exactly, that's
accepted.
different. A second test is, once you've subdivided once like this, any subsequent subdivisions will be major.
Regardless of whether you have a shared road, sewer, water.
Exactly,
or
and the
not.
treatment, that's a good point, Rick, and the treatment is slightly different.
We always
because-
forget that sometimes. but Okay.
Basically to avoid coming back and avoiding major subdivision by doing a minor and a minor and a minor and a minor.
Right. Okay, that explains it.
I'm
Thank you.
subdivision kings here. We don't need to do this now because we could probably set for public hearing, seeker, et cetera, but it's somewhere in the process of that. This one works quite well with it. We have our general site requirements. I will show one, 125-21, general site requirements. In all subdivisions, care shall be taken to preserve natural features such as trees, water courses, views, historic features which will add attractiveness and value to the remainder of the land. So this is an example where they took all of the sloping land, et cetera, and tried to put that in one lot. So it does some preservation of exactly this. Damming, filling, relocating, or other interference with the natural flow of surface water along any surface water drainage channel or natural water course shall not be permitted except with the approval of the planning board and where appropriate DEC.
Where are you reading from?
I am
125
reading
dash-
from 125-21 in our zoning code. We don't need to go through all this now because we really have enough at the site plan preliminary level. But we're getting a lot of these and we're gonna have to start going through our general site requirements and our subdivision different design, which is 125-22. So this is what I sent you guys a while ago. We don't need to belabor it now, but at some point, we really need to, I'm trying to put together a checklist of this, so we can say, check, this is fine, check, this is fine. No, this subdivision doesn't do it. Yes, the subdivision does do it.
So let me ask you another question. And we're waiving the putting on the map bars and they're going to do the 20-foot topo. But in order to comply with 125, 21, and 22, you'd need a lot more detail on the map. So how would we know that the house is placed in a spot that complies with 125-21-22? You know that they did it because you're familiar with the land. But if we weren't familiar with the land, how would we know that in fact we're putting it in a place that wouldn't impact the slopes, wouldn't impact?
Procedurally outside of our purview, we can just look at the lot lines. That's all we have jurisdiction in.
And I was talking about, in this case, the existing house that's there is doing that, not any new house. So the house that they're carving out. So in theory, they could say, I'm gonna carve out, the 6 acres should be carved out very poorly. The 6 acres for the existing house, they could go through a stream, they could cut down tons of trees, they could, not use a steep slope line. You'd say, well, you know what, you're doing this carve out, and it isn't really respecting this, as Sam said, the lot lines that we're working with. Redo your lot line or your carve out here because it doesn't work with our design principles. From looking at it right now, the design principles we have here, the lot line that we work with is grosso modo respecting it. And like Mary Lou said and Sam said, for any new house that goes on there, then that's the building department and lot development standards, and that's a whole different, that's not our purview anymore.
Maybe I asked the question the wrong way. How do you know, and I believe you, but how did you know that this lot 2 meets the design standards that you just read through 125-?
By driving there and parking on the road.
I guess my question was the other way of knowing it. If we hadn't visited, if you hadn't visited or anybody hadn't visited, the only other way of knowing it is if you had all those other markings, the topos and everything else. So
Exactly.
I guess I'm supporting your notion of, and this works fine, but on some of these, we need a lot more detail.
Some will need, because there's a lot of infringement on a lot of things, we probably need more detail. If you could have, we could, and we could also add this on for the final. I mean, this is only at the preliminary. We could say, once we go through the public hearing, speaker say, oh, you know what? For our final site plan, we want to put in the Ulster County habitat also, and we'd like to show the wooded areas as we go farther. We don't have to have everything right now also on the plan, as we sort of go through and see if there is any public, because hopefully, or maybe you have a public hearing and there will commentary, the neighbor would say, oh my goodness, this is XYZ on this land, we wouldn't know it, and then that would help us with the final plan having some of that. So we can add some more still in the final plan.
Except we just gave away.
I was gonna say, if you're granting one,
Oh, we
you
didn't.
haven't voted to grant waivers yet.
Well, we're granting the waiver on the lot 2. If lot 1 was to come up for submission for pretty much anything, that would be a separate item anyway. And all the details could be requested at that point
Well, for lot 1,
for lot 1.
what I'm asking is, how
Do
do
you want to add, do you want
how
to,
do we know the lot 2? has
Well,
been
lot
cut
2 is
up?
already existing though. I mean, literally,
there is
it's
there.
already there.
You're right, you're right.
What's there is there.
Duh.
right,
Thank you.
So at this point, Yeah, we're at sketch plan, so we asked for a number of things. Let's make sure we've got them all.
Right.
The 20-foot contours, the 100-foot buffer,
Yep,
a note that there would be any further subdivision would result in them needing to come back for a major subdivision approval, and to add all adjoining property owners, including those on opposite sides of the streets, opposite sides of waterways.
and also the either Department of Health or,
Right,
uh,
Department of Health
or.
or
certification by
engineer's
an
letter.
engineer.
And address is historical.
Sometimes they miss the most obvious.
And the, right, and the letter with the address for the historical building.
Don't we all?
So
I think we're there.
at this, right, but at this point, I think what you don't set a public hearing yet, because the public hearing will be on the preliminary map. Now Bob will go back and make a preliminary map. You can pass it through sketch and have Bob James can then make the preliminary map, bring that, and then you can set a public hearing if you find that to be adequate.
Actually, our code allows you to set a public hearing.
What'd you say, Mike?
I think our code allows you to set a public hearing. Yeah, I'm just
We
saying.
can, that's what we've done it before. We said-
If you're, with 6 things coming, if you're happy with that, you can.
Let's wait and get
But
everything.
if you want to wait
Yeah, let's
to
wait
have
and get
everything,
You know, it's your call. If we don't get everything that we asked for the public hearing, and we set the public hearing, we cancel it.
yeah, but then you have to
And you have to
notify it.
reschedule.
You gotta
No,
notify
that's
it.
a thing.
Then let's not,
Everybody
then
else.
let's not set the public hearing.
Yeah, it's not just one or two.
We could take it for seeker, we can wait until the next meeting. also.
I wait till you have the preliminary, because let's see where the buffers are and everything.
So I think you're set with your action plan for the next meeting?
Got it.
Okay, excellent, thank you very much.
Good man.
Thank you.
Next is 2020-09. Hey, guess what? Subdivision. We're very unique themes today. This is for, this is a Nadine, should be Nadine. Right?
Got it. You already unmuted yourself.
This is for Craig and Allison Williams. It's a minor subdivision. It's 2020-09. This is on Old Kings Highway. It's 30.7 acres, and the idea is to keep a front just under 9 acres, and lot 2 would be 22 acres. The difficulty here is.
Can we wait till we get the
variance.
maps? Can we wait till we get the maps?
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Nadine.
How are you?
Good.
Yeah, we got it.
You guys got your maps?
Yep.
Good to go?
Yep.
Nadine, do you want to present what's
Yep.
going on here?
Yep, definitely. So you all know I'm Nadine from Peak Engineering. The owner applicant, Craig Williams, is here with me tonight. So if we have any questions for him, he's available. Like Maren said, this is a 30-acre parcel that's located on Old Kings Highway in the town of Rochester. Craig and Allison Williams currently live there. There is a home and garage on the site that they live in. They're going to be downsizing, so they're subdividing off a piece of the property to build a new home. I know you guys have the maps in front of you, right? So you can see where the existing home is located. This site has about 230 feet of frontage on Old Kings Highway right now. So it is fairly narrow. So the proposal is to provide 50 feet of frontage in the area near the existing driveway, provide a new driveway for about 150 feet or a little bit more till it gets to the existing driveway, share a driveway past the garage, and have a new building site in the back. The existing home will remain on 8.6 acres of property, and the new lot will be just about 22 acres for the new home. There is an existing woods road, basically, that goes back to an area where they're proposing to build. They've been using that area for cutting trees, for firewood, and for just other recreational activities on their site. So, and right now they're currently building a garage in that area. So we did submit a couple things. First of all, we did submit a short EAF Part 1. And in that review, it did identify that this lot is in an archaeological overlay district, a portion of it. It also identified that there's some adjoining properties that are in the AG Ag District. And there are nearby wetlands, but there is none on the property. So what we're hoping for this evening, once of course we have some discussion, is that the board take a look at seeker. There are some agencies involved, so we request that the planning board request to be lead agency. We will request that the planning board does circulate it to SHPO and to the Ulster County Planning Board. And also with creating this access over the existing driveway, if you guys can look at the area where the existing garage is on the site, right now that garage is located about 55 feet off of the existing property line. So by creating this 25-foot strip over the existing driveway for access to the rear lot and to be conveyed with the rear lot, it does provide an encroachment with the new lot line and the garage. So this will require area variance. So it will be sent to the ZBA, and I know that the planning board usually sends some sort of notice that it's being reviewed, but they are kind of contingent on one another. The subdivision creates the need for the area variance, and the area variance is going to be required for the subdivision. So we ask that the board can look at that and it run concurrently review with the zoning board of appeals.
The other element,
So
there's one more element, guys, if you look at Jerry's note, that they built the garage or started the garage in the back without, which is fine, you can have as many garages as you want, but now that they're subdividing it, that's an accessory structure without a primary structure, so now they need a use variance, unfortunately, for that. So they have two variances to go to, so like Nadine said, it's a little which came first, the chicken or the egg. We can sort of look at how the planning looks at it, but if they didn't get the variances technically, then.
well, can we approve it from a planning perspective contingent upon getting the variances from the
Yeah,
zoning?
you get the variances first.
You gotta
Yeah,
get the
the
variance.
variance.
And you can look at them simultaneously.
Right.
We can review while
we-
they're
Which is what,
reviewing.
We can't give the approval to the variances.
Right.
right, exactly. So that's what I spoke with Nadine and said, you want to chicken or the egg, wait and just let them do that, see what they say, get the variances or start to move this.
So area variances are usually tough to get.
No,
Question
use
mark?
variance.
Use variance.
Use variance. So there's an area variance and a use variance.
Yes.
So
They should build the house
shouldn't they
and then
perhaps?
subdivide it.
So I can just elaborate on that a little bit. It's kind of like with any lot, if you're creating a new lot and it's between a garage and a house, and then the new lot has the garage on it and it doesn't have a house yet. So, and it is the intention, it will be a temporary situation because it is the intention to build a house. The first thing to do though is get the subdivision so that they're two separate lots. Technically, there is enough acreage here that the owner can construct another house without a subdivision. But just to facilitate the sale of the first home, the subdivision is necessary. And I just like to mention, because I did speak with Maren, we did provide a PDF earlier today of the survey. We overlaid the LiDAR topo, 2-foot contours. So we will definitely get hard copies of that to the board. we talked about some other things about the width of the driveway and having the required pull-off areas for the fire department. And we will indicate that on the next submission. We will definitely include that on there.
So that we spoke a little bit, if you guys look at the driveways are, so you have a flag lot here. So in theory, if they ever wanted to do something, and just so we get all our lot stuff, they could only do on this shared driveway, you could have one more driveway coming off of it, I guess, go toward the sort of toward the back to the Brett Van Gorder's lands over there. So you could, but that would be sort of the end of subdividing this. And we did this, you guys did decide maybe to keep the two, it's sort of funky, the two driveways, and this is for you also, Mary Lou. Your
Right.
driveway agreement just
So-
started at a certain point.
So, right, so the applicant would like to keep, there's an existing driveway, obviously, to the existing house. It's labeled on the map as Shelled driveway, and it kind of loops into the lot. So that exists. It does have underground electric that runs along it. That will be maintained for the existing house. There will be a new access built. We talked about this a little bit. Currently, there's a little old woods road right at that location. The applicant has already applied for and obtained a driveway permit to come in off of Old Kings Highway at that location. Two minor reasons for it. One is just so, and if you drive by, if you've been by now, there's landscaping at the end of the driveway. They stop at the end of the driveway to get the mail. It's just, they each have their own end of driveway at the road. It's personalized. And then they do come in and meet for, I don't know, maybe it's about 200 feet in, maybe a little bit more. And then they share the location up to basically just past the existing driveway where the new lot begins. So it does fork off. But the limits of the right of way right now basically go from where they meet to the new property line. And that's going to be the shared portion where the easement goes over.
So I sort of leave that to you, Mary Lou. It'll be a funky shared driveway
It's
agreement.
doable though.
Pardon?
It's doable though.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll need an agreement.
So as you know, well, along the line here, maybe we'll need the shared driveway agreement and the right of way and the exoneration of the town for having to maintain any of this.
Okay.
And we do have in this case, guys, they've done perk tests already. It's in the packet.
Yep, so there is a map, and this might help a little bit too. And I know some of the discussion on the last application with regard to the proposed house location. If you do go to the health department map that we submitted, it's very specific. There's already a site proposed for the garage that's under construction now, and the proposed house. The septic system location has already been approved. It is permitted. It's actually been constructed. So they'll be getting the CO from the health department any day on that. And this relates, you can kind of see the green wood line that's on here. This relates to the same area on the survey that's kind of showed as that cleared area. So even though the proposed house location isn't shown on the survey, it is shown on the approved septic plan.
Any other questions, guys? It's in the AP overlay, but it doesn't have any AP overlay. We're not putting a dump or a hazard.
Yeah,
The only thing for AP overlay that could vaguely apply would be, you can only have 15% impervious, and we're clearly not hitting 15% impervious.
I'm a little, I just ask a question about I'm always curious about the reasoning behind the configuration of like where the new lot line is drawn. Like, especially relating to the, I guess it's the area variance with the right of way and the garage. I know there's the existing Woods Road, but was there any consideration of other ways of cutting it up? I'm just kind of always curious sometimes about how the line ends up where it is, and if there were other options that you guys looked at.
Sure. There are very limited other options. One specific reason is right now from Old Kings Highway to where the existing garage is about 475 feet. So, it is a long distance, to construct a new driveway to get back, behind the existing house. The only really other way is if we go up on the right-hand side of that pond and kind of wrap around, but that does take away from the land that goes with the existing house. So just to keep the area undisturbed and private around the house that's there, it was just more feasible to follow the already constructed driveway to get beyond that and to get to the back area.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
I have a question, as I'm missing some rules. Why at the beginning of the proposed driveway is 50 feet? Is that because of fire?
That's the
That's
code.
what the code said, you need 50 feet of
A
access.
minimum of 50 feet
For how long? For
Just like the.
along the road.
Just along the road. That's why it's sort of.
50
funky
feet
looking.
of frontage, so they're cutting 50 feet.
it could be 91 feet, could be 40 feet. Does it matter?
Couldn't be 40.
Couldn't be 40 feet, it
It
could be
has to be
91
at
feet.
least 50.
It's a greater than
No,
or
no, I'm
equal
talking
to
about
sign.
length of the area, not the width.
Yeah, it could probably be like a 1 foot.
All right.
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
What'd you say, Steve?
It's just a technical question, like it's 50 feet for like, and then it goes back about 200 feet and then they make it 25 feet. So
Oh, yeah, so how far back? does
How
it
far
go?
back is it?
How deep is the 50 feet? And I was saying, you could probably technically make it 3 inches.
No matter.
Yeah, there is really nothing in the code that says how long that 50 feet has to extend for.
It could literally be a facade.
Claude, what's your opinion?
So Mary Lou,
So, yeah, go ahead.
does this become an unlisted coordinated because we have to send it to?
Well, we could do
ZBA?
it coordinate, I think that, the applicant has asked that we do a coordinated, and that would be lead agency. So we would have to complete our seeker before variances could be issued as well. But if we want to be lead agency, we have to declare that, just as you said, that we'll be lead agency and we'll have a coordinated review. And then we'll send it to those other agencies
I mean, that's the
that
best
are
way to
involved
get it-
agencies.
get it going to the ZBA.
Yeah, I would say on this map, Terry, right, where, it was Terry, right? You did
Yeah.
this, yeah. Labeled it survey map of subdivision of lands. I think we'll need when we send it out, I'd rather have something that says preliminary map or something. So that it.
Can you get them to change the
that's not a
title
big
there,
deal.
Nadine, and call it a preliminary plan instead of survey map?
Right? If you
Sure.
guys are okay with this sketch
Yep.
and for them to go on to,
I mean, the only other thing is the sketch, the topo is a little bit way in the corner of habitat land, but it's way in the back corner there. I don't know if it's essential in this case to show it.
you know what? Seeing as we are doing a coordinated
You should
review,
add it in.
so if there's any
So-
other agency that's concerned, I would show that.
Yeah, so there is really nothing on the lot. If you look at the environmental map or resource mapper that we included with the EAF, the wetland area is off the site. There's a light green kind of area that is beyond that, which they call is a check area, but their mapped wetland is not located on the site.
There are wetlands, but there is Ulster County Habitat for lands. So if you can put those on, if you go on the parcel viewer, you'll see in the back, probably there's an expansion out to those wetlands a bit. It's really just in the back corner. I know Terry's put them on before.
Okay, so it's not endangered, threatened. This is a different
Yeah. it's different.
habitat.
A quality of habitat, like it's probably because it has a lot of good woods, it's thick, it hasn't been disturbed. And I have various categories of it, if you can see.
Oh, this is the natural habitat mapper. So it does talk about forests and things. I got you.
You got, exactly, you can add that on to the back, because we're trying to consistently do that in all of our maps now.
Gotcha.
Oh, shouldn't the existing garage that's under construction also be on this map?
Yeah, if you could put in, like you said, where the septic that was approved and the existing garage,
If it exists enough that it requires a
or
variance.
the semi-created drawing, because they're gonna need that for the use variance.
It's on the smaller diagram, but we're just suggesting it's kind of transferred to the.
Have
larger.
transferred on the bigger diagram.
If it exists enough to need a variance, then it exists.
Yeah, they have to
Nadine,
see
this
their-
one?
Yeah, and we can show the proposed house location as well.
Transfer it over to the,
I think all I'm saying is it should say existing garage and.
Well, it's under construction. It's a garage under construction.
But
Okay, so label it that way.
It exists enough to require a variance, therefore it exists.
So, I think that you could declare
it was on.
I would like to make a motion.
and for your, circulation, I put circulation after the updated map comes in. Because
So,
otherwise
guys-
we're gonna have to recirculate.
Exactly. So guys, I would like to make a motion to declare ourselves lead agency on this for an unlisted coordinated secret review.
I'll second it.
Roll call, ma'am?
Carolyn Trump,
Yes?
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Buckbinder,
Yes.
Mr. Sarofsky,
Yes.
Mr. Pinsky.
Yes.
Ms. Malone.
Yes. So Nadine, we'll want the updated map before we circulate, so that we don't have to recirculate.
Yes.
Okay, do you want to do the circulation, or do you want to provide enough copies of everything for us to do the circulation?
Yeah, I think especially since it has to go to SHPO, it would be great if that would come from the town. So we can definitely get you copies.
Brianna's sending you dirty looks, Nadine.
That was
I'll send over some chocolates with it.
soft pitch from Brianna saying, no, Nadine says, here, I'll do it.
So if you can send us the proper,
Send us,
enough
send us
copies.
everything, and then we'll get that going.
Yeah, I mean, only because you're gonna circulate the intent for lead agency, right? So we can definitely get this to you, within a couple days. So this can go out with your intent, and you're not doing a whole bunch of other mailings.
Right, no, that's what we're saying. We want
Yeah.
to get the intent, yes.
Yep, perfect.
Can we just summarize like we did for the other project, what we're asking her to adjust? On
Yeah,
the
she
larger
would like
map?
us to do
What
that.
she-
I didn't
what-
write them all out.
What she's adjusting is she's going to show the existing semi-completed garage.
The
She's going to
location of,
show the proposed house,
right,
proposed
septic,
septic and well.
right,
She's going to show the habitat core in the back.
right.
And she's going to show pull off because we have a longer than 500.
The fire pulls.
Right.
It will be an existing septic and well.
Exactly, also.
I think
So-
and they have the approvals already.
So they have not been located in the field by the surveyor.
Oh, I see.
So,
So those are proposed still.
yeah, like I said, it's under construction, but they haven't been located yet. So to get this circulated, we would like to keep them as proposed. And eventually they will all be located.
Can I clarify and this is maybe just my knowledge of technical language, but when you say has not been located, am I correct to interpret you as saying it exists in physical reality, but it has not been added to the map by a surveyor?
Right, so the surveyor goes out and gets the exact coordinates and then plots it in relation to the boundaries and those coordinates. So that has not been done. So,
Or can correct me or disagree, but like, I feel weird about saying something is proposed when it exists in physical reality.
It's just undocumented,
What?
undocumented essentially.
Undocumented. I mean, I feel weird, like this whole thing has this weird, like it exists, but it doesn't exist quality, and I just feel like.
You'd like to see it on the map.
We can tie that off. You can maybe approximate location of existing septic if you don't want to send a surveyor out there yet.
well, if we show it on the survey map, so I mean, if he's comfortable just saying approximate location, we will do that. But usually things on a survey map, the survey is certifying to the location. So we'll have to discuss that language with him, because I know that we cannot get the field work done in the next couple of days to have it. Located.
But it's kind of the same problem with the proposed detached garage.
No, it's an existing
It-
garage.
It's an existing garage.
Stop calling it proposed, that's
Yeah.
the problem. It's
It's not
existing.
proposed.
Right,
No,
it's
it's only
under
with
construction.
the
Yep.
proposed-
Existing.
It's existing. That's why you're asking for the
Partially
use
existing.
variance.
No, it's fully existing. It exists enough that it triggers a variance, therefore it exists for our purposes too. And on the map, it exists. It's not proposed, it exists. Like it's being built.
Right,
It's, yeah.
so it's. it
Ontological
partially
state
exists.
is,
So it's not proposed.
yes.
It exists.
So, yeah, I mean, as long as the surveyor can technically do the approximate location, that's what we will do until the time he can field locate it.
Or even like a note on it that says like the septic system has been installed and permitted. The location will be added on the next, like just something that makes it very explicit.
I
Right,
won't put that on the survey map, like next time I do a survey, I'll add it. But we could get a letter that says.
A letter or something. I just want there to be something in the record that makes it clear that it's already been installed. That's all.
gotcha.
Seems relevant.
I agree.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I guess maybe if you could write exactly that, saying that we have the under construction with this vague location, and we have an existing well and septic already there in a letter, but it isn't, so Terry is tied down to the exact coordinates.
Right,
That
but if
will-
you can get them, that's better.
And if you can't get them, it's better, but that will certainly.
Yeah, I could almost bet my next paycheck he's not getting out there in the next couple days. But he will be locating these things eventually, but we can definitely mark on their approximate location.
Right, and just include a letter stating that they are in existence. We could
Right,
put a toilet up there in the middle of the woods and it would actually function. We also need to, who are we circulating to? So with the ZBA, Ulster County Planning Board, because it's an ag district. Town Fire, I would say we can go, I think we should start sending to the, you already have the driveway, so we don't need to circulate the highway, unless we could just do it again so they see the whole thing.
yeah, we'll submit a copy of the highway permit with the next set of information.
And I,
Any agency that has to permit this.
so it's
Gets a
basically
copy.
the
Highway.
highway,
or not.
Ship-
ZBA,
ZBA, Ulster County Planning Board.
and SHPO.
Fire.
Oh, we
You
said
said
ship, oh,
ship,
you're- okay.
Fire doesn't permit.
Yeah.
Except the planning board's not lead agency, can't be, the county. It's just, you're following under the 270, whatever. So,
All right, we don't have to, we always send them the seeker, but we don't have to
Oh, right, right.
declare intent to them because they're not a permitting agency.
Right. But it has to go to them because it's in an ag district, or abuts ag district.
Do we need to sign off on that? Because it's in the ag district,
So guys, I'm gonna make a second motion that we
That's-
circulate
that
to
statement
the,
about,
It's in there.
We've got that. Nadine did a good package.
we're gonna amend our,
Amend our previous.
I'm gonna amend our previous, this is who we're circulating to, as stated, so ZBA, Department of Health, or they've already done it, we might as well just send it to them.
Send it anyway because they're a permitting agency.
Exactly. ZBA, Department of Health, SHPO, highway and fire, highway only, highway. And can we send it along with them to the other people just to see what they say? Or you send that
Or
separately?
they can't declare lead agency.
Right,
so
that's
They're not declaring lead agencies, we do that afterward.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can always send things to whoever and
Right. All right, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstain. All right. All right, Nadine, I think we've got a plan.
I have one more request.
Yes.
I know this was supposed to be a pre-app, but since you know, it will be getting circulated and we pretty much are going to have everything on the plans. Can we schedule a public hearing?
No.
No.
That wasn't nice.
He wanted us to
Public
schedule
hearing.
a
No
public
public hearing.
You're
We have too much stuff we have to,
And Nadine, don't forget, it's a subdivision, so we have to make a seeker determination before the public hearing.
yeah.
We won't even have intent, you know, the 30 days, I don't know what it is.
We
this
don't have
month.
enough information to be able to do that.
We may not even have had the letters out and back yet. It's gonna
Okay.
take a few days for you to get the updated map to us, and then by the time it goes out, and they have 30 days to reply,
Okay, perfect.
we're not gonna be able to make a seeker determination next month.
All right. All right, that sounds good. And then, I mean, we'll have the ZBA in the meantime, so.
All right, next
Thank
is,
you.
thank you, Nadine,
Right.
is 2020-10, a subdivision. By Jason
New account.
Nuakow and Jeffrey Madalena.
Hello. Hey,
Madalena?
how are you guys?
They only have a little map.
How do you pronounce
Their
it?
surveyor.
Look at that.
It's a new lot subdivision
Oh, interesting.
on Whitfield Road, it's 412 Whitfield Road. It's 20 acres, a little over 20 acres, basically to be divided in half. 10.53 lot 1 and 9.59 lot 2. Lot 1 has an existing single-family dwelling, well and septic. Lot 2 is going to need new well, septic, and a house.
It's actually the opposite. I noticed that.
Opposite?
It's lot 2 that has the existing house, and it's lot 1 that needs the new septic.
Thank you. Is that what we have on our,
Yeah.
is that wrong?
But that's actually was the map we submitted was that way. So
All right, so I just wrote it wrong.
one
All right.
swapped around.
This too has, so in the back of the property, you can see the map if you look online in our set. It's quite slopey. And in the back, you have some habitat core lands.
Says it may contain wetlands?
Yeah, that's what I didn't understand. There are no wetlands there.
The reason I said that is because I didn't know what that lump was at the bottom, because the map that we had online was not easy to see. That's why I put it, guys. So when you look at it, you have that thing down at the bottom. I didn't know what that was. I couldn't read it. I didn't know if it was a pond or not.
Shale quarry.
It says a shell.
Okay, well, you couldn't, when it was online, I couldn't see it. When you blow it up, I didn't know what it was, so we can take that off because nothing showed up off of parcel view or anything. It was a clarification because you couldn't read it when you had the online map.
So I think the same way that
Yeah,
we've
yeah,
asked
yeah.
for already, we want to have a delineation of the habitat core lands.
Yes.
And
20 foot
topo.
And 20-foot, so we're gonna need from you, if you can't hear, 20-foot topo on it, on the map. You're gonna have to show the adequacy of water supply and sewage disposal facilities for the new house. So that,
We do have an approved septic plan from the DOH.
perfect, then you have to get that to us.
I thought that they sent that to you already, actually.
We
We haven't.
did not get it, it's not in the pack here.
Interesting. We were told by our surveyor that it was sent, but I can have it sent to you guys, no problem.
Send it again, but did anybody else see that? I did not see it anywhere here.
And that has all the topography on it, I believe, too.
So your surveyor needs to add the 20-foot topo. You need to, because since it is slopey, that's especially essential. He should also look up the Ulster County habitat lands. There's a little bit in the back, and put those onto the map. He also needs to put the property lines, owners' names, SBL, and deed library page for all contiguous parcels. So you're missing that on across the road areas.
Gotcha. Across Whitfield Road.
Yep.
Are you taking notes, Jeff?
Yes.
Unfortunately, Chuck couldn't join us today. He had a conflict, so we're gonna
I
try.
have a question. This is sort of a design question. When you look at it, the new house, is that going, there's like a bit of a road in an open space? Is that where you're putting, or are you cutting down new trees? Where are you thinking of placing?
That's an existing road that went to the shale quarry.
Yeah, and the proposed, where you see the proposed house is, I guess, just that it's proposed. We don't know for sure, but that actually does fit. It's all, that area there is all very flat. And then the slope kind of starts at the top of, maybe, I guess, probably 60 feet beyond that, above it,
So they start their access using the old shale quarry road and then veer off of that, right?
Exactly.
Correct.
Are you sharing that Woods Road with whoever owns the parcel, the Kaiser? Are you sharing that road with them?
Sorry, which one?
So your proposed drive comes off that Woods Road.
Right, correct, yes.
Woods Road keeps going towards the shale quarry and goes into the property owned by Kaiser.
Oh.
It's just like an abandoned.
So
old
is
road.
it really
I
a
don't
road,
even-
or it's just a path in the woods?
Yeah, I don't think it actually goes through to the shale quarry anymore. It just sort of ends there, I think, kind of before that, actually. Doesn't go as far as it's been drawn.
Yeah.
The question is, it's not being used as a driveway for anything where you have to get.
No, the house on the adjacent lot on the Kaisers, they have a driveway that comes straight off of Whitfield that goes up. That's probably on the,
So they're not using the Woods Road.
No, they have their own that kind of goes there. The quarry is actually kind of in between both our property and their property, and they have sort of a road up from coming from their house. But the road itself, like from our end, was kind of abandoned. So it's there, but it's, it needs a little cleanup, but it's existing.
Does that need to show those 50 feet onto Whitfield? Is that what we need on Whitfield?
No.
No, that the whole front lot is way more big.
It's frontage.
It's frontage.
The other one, the 50 feet was the frontage they were showing. on the
Sorry,
last one.
yeah.
They have plenty of
Have
frontage.
plenty of
Looks like it's okay on frontage.
Yeah, frontage is okay.
I think so.
I mean, this is relatively, we're going to have to send it to Marbletown also, guys, because they're on the border of border of Marbletown.
Yep.
I don't know if you guys know this, but in Marbletown, the zoning laws are enforced.
You saw the sign?
It says so on the sign.
Well, I'm certainly glad to hear that.
It's on the
Good thing
sign.
you're on the Rochester side.
Yeah, we don't enforce zoning laws.
I have a question for you. On your lot 2, why you still call it without deteriorated and garage deteriorated? It seems like already everything fixed and a nice standing house. But reading the plan, you think there's nothing there.
I'm sorry, I can't hear.
So on the, where you have the existing house.
Yep.
It says deteriorated.
I think that was old. That was from the original thing. We actually just in the last year completely renovated the entire.
That's what I was saying. So you should get your surveyor to change that.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the permits are all closed on that. I mean, it's completely.
Exactly. But that was the confusion. It didn't say.
No problem. We'll fix that.
The driveway is coming like this way. There is a driveway coming right now.
So you should show where your existing driveway is to the new house that you guys have done.
Yeah, it just goes straight to the garage, basically
So,
there.
but have the surveyor put it in anyway,
Done. We'll have that added.
so you show where the driveway is and it doesn't say anymore that it's a deteriorated non-house, because it's a nice
Right.
house.
Yes. It's a very,
I deteriorated and put it nice.
Take a deteriorated and put it nice, and put it in your driveway. I mean, for now, I think,
So does the existing house have a septic system?
yes.
yeah,
Is that the reserved septic field?
It's all on, I mean, that, the DOH approval that we have shows all of that. It has it for both the new house and the existing house
He's saying they'll send us.
with the reserve and all that stuff.
Okay, so that,
So all that'll be.
Which I apologize. We were under the impression that you guys had that already. So I apologize that you don't, and we will definitely send it.
that's all right.
I don't know if you can share the files in the chat here, but
Yeah, the survey map should have all of those things on the one map, I guess.
gotcha.
You hear that? Did you hear that?
Yeah, and all of that stuff needs to be on the same, so we can just resubmit one thing to you, which is this thing, plus the topography, plus all of these changes, plus all of the approved septic and well.
exactly. The more you get on the one subdivision map, that's how it should be.
Great. Okay.
And a real learning experience.
Yeah, I think maybe across the street, they got that.
I got confused. I went there and I didn't.
Do they need to have a data statement?
Nice house and a brand new-
No, they do not unless you are in agriculture.
So you don't have to file a statement saying that there's no.
No, you don't have to file a negative opt-out.
Okay.
Assuring we have.
I was unclear about that.
I don't know if you guys are able to download things out of the chat feature, but I just uploaded the DOH thing for if you do want to see it.
Sent it to Brianna.
He sent it.
So I could make, anybody have anything, I can make a motion at this point to type this as an unlisted, uncoordinated.
I'll second the motion.
Madam?
Carolyn Stone,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Buckbinder,
Yes.
Mr. Sarowski,
Yes.
Mr. Pinsky,
Yeah.
Ms. Malone. Yes.
So if you get those updates to us, then at the next meeting, we could do the environmental review, double check this, make sure on some design features, set it for a public hearing, and hopefully have some sort of decision in January then.
Okay, would that be, I guess, do we need to get you this stuff by C here on this agenda, the November 30th workshop meeting, or is that for?
No, you have to be on the workshop meeting, you have to get it to us by
November 30th.
November 30th, and then you'll be on the December 14th meeting.
And then would we get the approval on that meeting?
No, you have to have a environmental review. We have to do what's called seeker, so we go through various analyses to make sure that don't have any environmental constraints. Then we set it for public hearing. The next meeting in January, we have the public hearing, and then you can have a decision most likely in January, unless the public comes up with something crazy that we didn't
Right,
identify.
we have to send it, and we'll send it to Marbletown after it's complete.
And we send it, and when we get all of the information for the next meeting, we send it to Marbletown and see if they have anything to say, because you're on the border of another town. And I think that's the only, they don't have a lot of other.
They're exempt on the county, Mike?
Uh,
I mean, normally, yeah,
when it's abutting.
when it joins another town, we send it to the county.
I'll double check.
So we might have to, but we have to wait till we get the fund.
The exception agreement might apply.
Yeah,
Exactly,
I'm not
that's what I
sure
was thinking.
if
right?
it does in that case. or
So
not.
we have to send it to Marbletown to see if they just say we might have to send it to Ulster County Planning Board. There's an agreement that some low touch land use modifications, you do not have to refer to them. We'll double check that. Highway Department for the other driveway, you have to get a driveway permit.
Do we have to get that for the subdivision itself? Or is that when we have to do that when we apply for the build permits for that lot?
You can't get the subdivision without having to be a condition, though, of getting a certificate of occupancy.
We can do that. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I will say, we should get in the habit of doing this. We should send it to, in this case, to the EEC, our environmental, see if they have anything to say. Start including them in some of this process.
Who is that?
Our environmental commission.
Yes, okay.
So check, if you can't remember any of that, check back with Brianna and you'll know what to have. So we'll be ready to go at the next meeting in December.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you, guys.
Do we need to stick around?
Nope.
Okay.
It's really interesting though, if you want to.
No, you can hang around. This is really.
Gets better as the,
I mean, it kind of is interesting,
It's
actually.
very interesting.
You don't think
gets
so?
better as the night goes on.
It gets less and less interesting, exactly.
We do have an open slot for an alternate member if you're interested.
Start drinking every time you hear the word variance.
If the meeting goes really long, we get cranky as the night goes on, so if you want to
Glad
watch.
you were early then.
All right, well, we'll keep it short for you guys.
Have a
Thanks so
great night.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the next one is 2020-11.
Mara,
Yeah.
I've been advised that I should recuse
So
myself
you
from
can
this.
recuse yourself, you don't have a technical monetary interest, but you sort of have a second derivative monetary interest.
Yeah.
So at 8:34, our vice chair recused himself. So this is a major subdivision because it is a re-subdivision. Why everybody has to keep re-subdividing?
Well, this lot is so big. It's amazing that it's still all one lot, given.
Exactly. So what happened previously was there was a natural subdivision done. And then there was another 3-acre lot pulled off. So those were the previous subdivisions. To make this, now we're doing 2 more subdivisions of around 3 acres, one off of Towpath and one up on Lawrence. This hits pretty much everything, once again. It is in the ag district, it is in the AP overlay district, it contains prime farmland, obviously farmland of statewide importance, is within 500 feet of 2 registered historical structures, one of which is the house that is on the remaining parcel. The parcel is really, at this point, the parcel is used for hay, gently sloping. And that's pretty much where we're at. Now, this is one of those I would throw out to the board. I did not write I started to run out of time after 20 hours of working on this. There's a lot of major subdivision criteria that they will have to ask for a waiver because they might not be pertinent, but they need to give us formal written waivers for it. I don't know if you would like to go through the major subdivision law with me right now, one by one, or if you would, how you would all like to handle that.
Let's go through it so that the applicant is clear what they're asking.
Because
for.
the other option is you post minor escrow and let CPL go through and do all of the waivers and non-waivers for a major subdivision.
We could ask the applicant if they have a preference. Or their representative.
I'm right here. I'm sorry, I didn't catch that last. There was a lot of paper rustling.
So the question is, Heather, that we either pull out the code and go one by one through all of the stuff that you need to ask for waivers or need to do because this is a major subdivision.
Right.
Or if we don't want to do this till 4 a.m, we could make a motion to post a minor escrow because most of the stuff will be easy to be waivers, or you could run through a lot of the code and give us some, one example is for a SWIP. You need to have a SWIP under our code for a major subdivision. I personally don't think this needs a SWIP because we're not really disturbing that much, but we're gonna need a written request and as to why. So we could go through a lot of the elements here. Or you could, the board could look at the general idea of what's going on, see that it was generally pretty good, and you could run through some of that. You and I could meet with Mary Lou and have a technical meeting on some of those. Or you could, pay for Mary Lou's time, or we could have you work with CPL, sort of 3 options.
Well, it sounds like we definitely would want a waiver for the, I guess, run through them quickly would, I think, be the quickest for everybody's time as opposed to setting additional meetings. I think we can run through them quickly. And that it's one of the regulations is to ask for a long form EAF. Not sure how much we're going to glean from that we don't already have from this short EAF.
How many of these will we have to go through?
A lot.
Let's give it a CPL because we still have 3 items on the agenda.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion then to send it to post escrow. We're gonna have to choose an escrow.
Well, could, or
Well,
answer
you mind
just
if I
like,
ask, just as the supervisor, why are you sending it directly to CPL? Why don't you let her come up with
Yeah.
a request and give it to you next,
Tell her for the next meeting.
gonna say,
instead of spending money for CPL?
Send them to us, because they're supposed to be written requests anyway.
yeah, they should just
So
go
if they
through the
don't
one
pay
twenty-five.
CPL, they can pay Heather to.
Well, that's sort of what I
Yeah, that would be good.
as element number 2.
Yeah.
Let them write it up and then we'll.
So why don't you do that, Heather? Go through 125 dash, no, it's
125
exactly 13, 14, 15, and also 21. Because that's 21, 22 for design, and see where you need waivers and just write up the written waivers and say, written request for waiver, say, no, this does not apply. Yes, we'd like a waiver here for this reason, etc. And then if everybody thinks in general, the layout, this is sort of almost like a preliminary meeting. I did not see one big, so this is the map that we have.
No.
No, this one here.
I never saw a map. So they're really almost both off of,
They're right adjacent to the outer bounds of both of the lots, trying to keep most of the land contiguous within the.
so I did see this, so I got it. So one is 1 and one is, okay, yeah. It's the
It's
same
just
as,
such a weird,
exactly.
So go ahead and make your motion. I think we should do what you suggested to get into a process of requiring, if you're gonna ask for waivers, rather than us sit here and go back and forth. Just take the time to have the applicant and the applicant's engineer come back to us and then we evaluate it.
So conceptually, Heather, the idea looks conceptually fine to us, but go through and work on all of the nitty gritty.
Either provide those things or ask for waivers.
Exactly, to provide all the things that we asked for in the major subdivision or provide a written request for waiver.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you for the consideration of the concept.
Next,
I think I maybe have asked this before, but is there any way, like, just looking at this parcel, for example, where we have, like, if I were whatever, if somehow I was involved in making decisions about this, and I was like, oh, it would be great to make this into 4 separate parcels, like, instead of just one big giant 290-acre parcel with like roads and stuff going through it, is there any way in our code to like reset from it being a subdivision, or just like, because at one point this was like a giant 400-acre lot, every time you touch it, it's always a major subdivision?
There's no way for us to do it, but the town board could change our
Yeah, it's just like,
definitions of.
it's bonkers.
Right, it's basically up to, like, we could do a zoning review committee.
No, all right.
And they could make,
Subdivision review.
come up
something like
with
that going
ideas,
on.
and they could give that to like the town board, and the town board could say, here's a new way we're gonna approach it.
And the planning board can make
Suggestion.
Suggestions.
It's just like,
suggestions and recommendations if you feel that
I know that
major
this
subdivision
discrimination law is
definition should maybe change, that's something you could
and
recommend.
I know that this Schoonmaker lot is a unique situation where we have this 290 acres on sort of like
And
four
it's a
different.
natural subdivision here.
But my question was like, could you ever get it back so that it was just a lot?
It would be nice, but you can't under the current.
That's what I thought,
I mean, that sort of was what I was going at with the other Solberg thing, because you'd be like, could we use a do-over here
Right.
and see if we could just get something more compliant, and all the lots will be better for all the people in the future, but in a winter, they don't have to.
There's no like, yeah, okay. Well, that answers my question. Thank you.
Okay, next is, hey, Heather, back up. 2020-06,
So I'm back.
and I bet you can't, yes.
You're back, Patrick's back.
Patrick's back.
We missed you.
I bet you cannot guess, but this is a minor subdivision.
No way.
This came to us before as a 5 lot, and it was a bit of a disaster because it is really full of wetlands and a stream, a named stream. Ms. Byrne reduced it. And there was also an issue with the existing driveway that everybody was sharing, went over to somebody else's property. If it was divided up to do the 3 lots, as it was also servicing the neighbor, that would make it 4 lots. And too many people, it would have to be a private road, and that would have made it a major subdivision. So the neighbors included, you'd see in the pack, a note saying they will essentially cease and desist on using that driveway and do their own driveway. So that gets rid of the 4 people problem and having to turn into a private road and having to make it, because you can only use 3 on the shared driveway. So now it will just be the Byrne proposed subdivision using a new driveway. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So again, just for my own education, this didn't become minor because it's only 3 lots. It's becoming, because there's still a common road, right? Isn't that
Now
major?
it's a shared.
No, now it's a shared driveway.
We've got
Shared
definitions
driveway.
overlapping on each other. and
Exactly.
confusing
As
ways.
opposed to,
A private
A
road.
private road.
what makes a shared driveway versus a
It's
private?
more than 4.
Serves up to 3 lots.
Exactly. A shared driveway can serve 3 lots.
Gotcha, no, and that's why it's a minor?
Yes.
Right.
So when Mr. Fink asked what exactly the definition is, a little tough because they sort of all,
So we, at some point, we should be making some recommendations to the,
to
to fix some
clean
of
that up a
these
little so
definitions.
it's easier to understand. Yeah,
Fix some of these definitions, but.
I
okay,
agree.
I got it.
Rick, it's also what has to happen to the road. When it becomes a private road, it has to be built up to higher standards than a shared driveway. A shared driveway is just that,
Can
a
be,
driveway that serves more units.
Private road.
But you're right, Rick, it does, we
Okay.
keep running into this problem of
Yeah, we do.
shared driveway versus private road versus how many
Lots.
houses versus which came first, the chicken or the egg, and we did a little cleaning up. So you can see now,
make it harder.
you have, they did a very nice job of showing, we have the topo, we have the wetlands, the stream,
All the neighbors, nice map.
Tapo is over 10 feet.
What's that, Zorin?
Tapo, 10 feet.
Yep, they have it at
look
10.
at that, they got a 10 feet topo, we got a bonus. And you can see, we have quite a few lines there, but you have the 100-foot setback for both the stream and the wetlands indicated.
That's what I'm looking for. If,
So
I
if
don't
you look
see
at
it.
the green,
Yeah. Is that 100 foot?
You'll see
Not
that.
not all of the maps have the 100-foot setback for the wetlands on it. I provided one, but our submission didn't have it because it wasn't required since it's an Army Corps, but I did provide that to you. But your board members might not have it.
Electronic copy has it.
Yeah, look, Rick, if you look
The
here,
electronic copy has it, yeah.
there's this additional green line that's showing the 100-foot setback.
There, yeah, it's
So
on
we
the,
do have
it's
a
on the big
100-foot
one. There's
setback.
Yeah.
an arrow that
Except
goes
there's
to
no-
it, that points to it.
No, the added extra one, we have 200-yard setbacks,
Oh,
and
okay.
one to the stream and
All right,
one
there's another one for the
for the
wetlands.
wetlands,
Yeah.
exactly.
Where's the stream, Sam?
The
Up on
stream
the
is
right.
here, and then this is
Along
the
the road.
Oh,
setback.
I got it, all right.
Regulated stream, DECID.
And can I just see it on the map for the wetlands?
It's here.
Gotcha. Okay.
Everything's been designed to be outside of either one of those 100-foot buffers.
Everything is outside of the buffer, so that it's not that, it's a bit of a tortured piece of land to be developing, but they are technically out of the buffers that we, now, they have a habitat report also that they did, that they
Yes.
supplied us with. She has posted escrow, I don't know, I am not an expert on habitat reports. I don't know if you would like to send this to have it reviewed by CPL to see it was done by a licensed approved habitat person. I'm throwing that out. I don't know if you guys read the habitat report.
I read it, so it's up to the license, right?
Yes, I read it also.
Can I suggest
Yes.
you hold off and see what comes up at a public hearing? To see
Okay.
whether you need to go further,
Okay, on the,
I was gonna say, I
whether
think
you
that's
need to
sort
go to
of,
CPL.
I think that's sort of been our practice recently, is like, if we get a thing from an expert, we trust it unless there's some reason that comes up
Challenge.
that's valid to seek even more information. Because otherwise it's just expert after expert all the way down.
perfect. Heather, you have to do a written request for a shared driveway yet again. And then have a,
I'm sorry, we have to formally request a shared driveway?
it's in our code that you just have to have a letter saying, yes, we would like to have this shared driveway because this is the best way to do this. And
It's not in the subdivision code, it's in the driveway.
it's in the driveway code.
Hey, I don't remember ever seeing that. Okay.
It's only on, it's only on shared driveway.
It's only on shared driveways.
Because we could decide that we think it's a terrible way to do it and make you, because you have to have road frontage anyway, it's like a weird.
So in this case, it doesn't apply because it would be, obviously you can't go over all the streams. But in theory, we could say, oh, no, we want you all to have all these curb cuts, all these driveways, because the planning board thinks that's better.
Okay.
Obviously, it's not,
Not in this one.
not in this case. So it's just a quick paragraph saying this is the best way not to touch the wetlands and to serve all of these houses, and hence why we're asking for it. It's, 3 sentences.
Okay.
And then also, at some point, we'll also have to have the driveway maintenance agreement and the exemption of the town from road maintenance.
The exemption is separate from the road maintenance agreement?
No, it will be in there.
No, it's all together in one document. And we can provide you with, which you probably already have on file somewhere, the template verbiage.
I should be able to get my hands on it, but if you,
If you can't find it easily, we have it readily on hand. I have a question that I did not know the answer. So the shared driveway starts at 16 feet and then it drops to 12.
yes.
Because it loses a user.
Is that, I did not see in our code. I mean, I'd rather have a smaller driveway than a big driveway personally. It's less land disturbance, but I don't know, do we double check with the highway department that they,
It's under road standards, Byron, in the back of the code,
is that a road standards?
Yeah.
Back of which code?
subdivision. It's almost the last thing in subdivision. is where it's talking
So I
about.
just get stuck at 7/8 through and then I fall asleep and I don't get to the last thing.
Yeah,
All right, you answered it.
it's in there.
Um,
That's because of the traffic at the beginning?
Yeah, it's just like how many people are using
they're
it.
using it, so
you-
one person
more-
is just,
One person can be just 2 tracks, and then if it's, I had a question, and I actually was just looking back at the old sketch plan that's now been abandoned, but on this new map, you're showing an existing woods road, and the new proposed driveway looks to be, I don't know, 20 feet or so away from that at parts. It's like, it's not the existing woods road until the very end, sort of, like 20 feet. And in the design standards for subdivision, there's a preference stated for reusing existing sort of abandoned roads. So just the question is, was there a reason why you decided, or the applicant decided not to reuse that road?
They decided to, there's also the road that we're proposing to use now is also existing, the road that goes to the barn. And then, so then that gives the existing house a little more privacy. The driveway isn't running right by them. It's still making use of an existing road. And then they wanted to keep the driveway on the easterly side of the stone wall, again, for privacy for both the new owners of the lots, whoever they may be, and Olga, who will be living on lot 1.
Great, and preference for using stone walls as boundaries is also in our design standards. So
Exactly.
bonus.
that's 2
for
bonus
this
points,
now.
Heather.
Yay.
That's great to hear. Hi, everyone. It's Olga.
Well, no, sometimes there's a trade-off. That's why I just asked it as a question of what the thinking was.
Heather, in the habitat study,
Mhm.
the 2 attachments, at least what I'm looking at, they're blank.
Yeah.
Attachment
One
one,
is I realized that when I sent it, it's the letter from the Fish and Wildlife Service with the species listed that Mike addresses in the report. I can send that. I believe I sent it on to Brianna as a separate cover. I'd be happy to send it to you guys again. There's nothing that you don't see in the other report.
Brianna, you can research it, just,
I don't know.
you don't have,
We don't have it.
we don't have it.
Document if it, if that helps at all.
Can you get it to her so she can put it up on the drive?
I don't know if I can do that from here because I don't have access to my.
Now,
No, you don't need to do it now, just eventually.
Sure.
thank you.
So guys, you think we could at least,
This is a heck of a lot better than what we.
it's a heck of a lot better than what was before.
Yeah.
Yeah, kudos, guys. This made leaps and bounds improvements to what we had before.
Your leaps and bounds closer to.
Glad to hear it.
Yes, thank you.
So I make a motion to take it as an unlisted uncoordinated seeker.
Second.
Brianna? Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Buckline,
Yes.
Mr. Sarowski,
Yes.
Mr. Finsky,
Yes.
Ms. Maloney,
Yes. And I would say on this one, we could probably set it for public hearing. We have everything all, I make a motion to send it to highway, fire,
ECC.
ECC. Should we send it to DEC? Did DEC sort of seen it already, or?
I did put in a request for a jurisdictional determination. We haven't heard back from them yet, so
So it's already into DC?
it's already in.
Okay, so I'd say, then for us, it's just highway, fire, the EEC, EC, yeah, just. I do I have a second on sending it to, all in favor?
Aye.
Against, abstain, and
Just
have a motion to
relabel
set
it
it
as
for,
preliminary.
yeah, do I have a motion to set it for public hearing?
So we have to do the seeker, like, we can do that after the December meeting.
Yes.
Before
right
the public
you.
hearing,
You have
that's-
to do it beforehand, but you can do it.
And that gives you the opportunity to
I think
look
we
over
have the
that
same
habitat.
Right, exactly.
I'll move to set it for public hearing after regular.
Second.
Did you want to second that?
Yeah,
Sorry, Brian.
You want to second that?
All right,
I'll second Brian's motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, yes, okay. And Heather, for that, could you just change it from sketch plan to preliminary?
Sure, absolutely.
All right, next.
Well, thank you so much. Barry's going to be handling the next one. So if you want to unmute him.
Got it.
Hi, Barry.
So next one is 2020-09. It's a lot line. And then 2020-12 for a subdivision. Everybody read through this. This has got more hair on it than
I'm confused.
plenty.
Heather, are you involved or should I mute you?
I'm just back up, but no, this is Barry's game.
You have Mike Baum in there, okay. The applicant's also with us.
Yep, I've opened his mic, Barry.
Absolutely, man.
Marin, if you'd like, I could describe the project.
Yeah, I'm waiting for everybody to get their maps out first, so they're all tuned in.
Yep.
Everybody ready? Sam's struggling a little. All right, Barry, you can go ahead and explain the project.
They have lessons
Okay.
for that. so.
Okay, so this is two parcels of land that are adjacent that Michael Baum owns who's here. The one of them contains the mobile home park where there's 16 units that comes in off of Cherrytown Road. This has been a mobile home park here for many, many years. It was once part of the Tesla Hotel complex and everything. The owner, Michael Baum, is selling off the mobile home park, and the situation is that one of the wells, which turns out to basically be the primary well, was not on that lot. They just had an easement to access it, and any buyer for the mobile home park would want to own the land. We've had several people say that, and the health department requirements is that if you have a public well, you should own 100 feet around it and control 200 feet around it. So we're trying to satisfy that requirement for selling off the mobile home park. And so that would be the application for the boundary line adjustment to give about 1.6 acres of the larger tract to the mobile home park so they own and control the well. But in doing so, we kind of cut off a parcel of the remaining lands. There's a 9.2 acres we show in new lot 1 that because of the stream and the floodplain, you wouldn't have direct access to that land. And so we thought it should be a separate lot, and the best access for it would be through the mobile home park. So we're also asking to create lot 1, 9.2 acres as a building lot with the access through the road system of the mobile home park. Otherwise, the applicant's willing to not create that lot, but I think it just seems that this is just good planning to account for how that 9.2 acres could be utilized. So that's where we stand. I will say that the 9.2 acres is definitely a building lot. In fact, there was a subdivision that had preliminary approved from the planning board for this larger parcel, the 46 acres for 7 lots. That was, I don't know, like 10 years or more ago. And the economy turned down, so we never pursued the final approval for it. So that approval expired, but we did have 7 lots approved there with health department approval and ready for filing a map. So so we can reproduce that information for the planning board showing how that lot 1 has a building site on it. If there's any questions?
That's
Couple of things.
definitely number 1, you should show where the buildable space is. because
Yes, we will do that.
I have a question. In our town code, it says that we're not supposed to make landlocked lots. This is a landlocked lot.
I didn't quite hear the question.
Right in our subdivision code, it specifies that we should not be creating landlocked lots. So that's basically what this comes down to, right?
Well, no, because we would provide a right-of-way access, which I believe falls under what they call the open development district.
Okay.
I
just wanted to clarify that because what I was looking at, it just didn't seem like it was a good path to this.
Well, it doesn't have road frontage, that lot, but it would have a 50-foot right-of-way access to a public road.
Mike,
Lot
do we
1
still
also-
have in there that it goes to the town board for, we haven't done, so you'd have to refer them. We'd have to refer to the town board to get the open development status.
I'm not crazy about creating lot 1. It's, you got the 100-year floodplain in there. You have to draw in this map the 100-foot buffer to that, question mark. And part of that recommended 200 feet from the existing well that you'd like to see the property, the trailer park property owned. A good portion of that 200 feet is not met. It's not on the property. It's on proposed lot 1. And so if anything, you should expand that carve out in order to comply with the health department recommendation. But even beyond that, the combination of having a road that's going through a trailer park and 3/4 of lot 1 is wetlands. It may have had approvals years ago, but that was before people cared about wetlands, flood zones, and everything else. I just don't see the justification for
if I could
allowing lot 1 to proceed as it's constructed here.
Yeah, if I can comment on that, the 200-foot, the public health law does not require you to own the 200-foot. It requires you to own 100-foot, but it requires you to be able to control and protect within 200 feet. So there would be an easement that that nobody would be allowed to build a septic system within that 200 feet. So that does meet the state health department requirements for public water supply. And I would point out that with the development that we had approved of this, we did an extensive amount of engineering work on this. We had health department approval. We delineated the floodplain by elevation, and we provided all that information. And with all that, with all those restrictions on that 9.2 acres, there's still, a good 3 acres available for building.
So we want to see where that goes.
Yeah, I will show that for sure.
Also need to see the contours similar to the previous projects where we asked for, what was it, 20-foot contours?
Yep.
I'll provide you with 2-foot contours.
That's fine.
Because I already have them.
Just give me a magnifying glass along with it. We need the habitat core lands to be delineated on here, as we've asked for the other projects.
And we need the
Yeah.
100-foot
Buffer.
setback from the high water mark,
Right.
Mobacus, because we're in the floodplain.
Yep.
And you're really gonna have to convince me there's enough land to build there. But, okay.
I have a driveway question. Is the driveway considered commercial because it's, or not? Going to the mobile home park? Because if it's commercial, I don't know, from what I understand, maybe I'm wrong, a commercial driveway cannot exist with a private driveway, or does it have to be a variance with that, or how does that work?
Yeah, I had the same question. You have a private
What my
road.
guess would be, I mean, a mobile home park, although you make money off of it, it's residences. So I'm not sure.
Right,
off
that's
the
what I'm
top of my
saying,
head,
because it's a
right.
business, it was considered a commercial driveway, and can a private driveway coexist
It's like
with a
the arrow.
commercial? Because I don't think you can.
Well, I think it would be classified as a private road.
Okay.
You know, the private road, serves the whole mobile home park, and there's one ownership there, but, multiple people use it. And then there would be another parcel who would have the ability to use that same private road. And they would have, so that would have to be described in the easement.
It's a private road that,
Did Jerry say anything about that?
no, I don't think he said anything about the road on it.
He said that the office consulted with the highway superintendent, who stated that the road which services the mobile home park is a private road.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
I'm sorry, where are you reading from? I didn't hear that.
It was a letter to the planning board from code enforcement.
Oh, okay.
So it's a private road going to two shared driveways. There's one that goes off toward where they're gonna take the lot line, and then goes off to get to the other, the 36.2 acres, and then the piece going off to the 9.2 acres.
Well, I think that's just showing it's an existing dirt drive.
But it's gonna
But
have
they
to
have
be,
frontage on,
right, that one, so that one's okay, the other, it'll just be,
it would
well, I
just
guess
be,
this is another one of those, it's like Anne Marie's question, you have a private drive, and then at the end it peters out into a shared driveway? Or if the private drive continues to the 9.2 acre one?
Yeah, it narrows down at the end with those, where it forks off into the two. They're just,
But what do we,
just driveways. One takes you down to the water supply building.
or that they extend the private road to propose lot one.
Should there be any agreement?
Yeah, well,
wait,
yeah.
we have
yeah.
this from Jerry Davis. As two lots are being added to the existing private road, and as the proposed 9.2 acre lot will solely utilize the existing private road, as it will be landlocked. And the right of way is only access to the subdivision, this is why it's classified as major.
Because of the private
Well,
road.
Harry, only one lot will be using the private road.
Yeah, I don't see a second.
Well,
lot.
two lots
There
are,
are two lots.
Yeah.
How are you,
Well, they're counting the mobile home park.
yes,
That's lot one.
right.
And the second lot is the proposed lot.
Proposed lot.
proposed landlocked one?
But then it goes further to 23 acres as well.
Well,
No,
no,
that's
there's an
off the-
existing dirt drive there, but that's not their access. Their access is.
They
the
could
one
use the access off the road.
That just happens to be
okay.
there,
They could be,
but they can use, they have frontage on
Yeah,
Cherry.
Cherrytown.
So Mary, what does Jerry conclude in his
he concludes it's a major subdivision,
And that's a private road.
and that that's
That
a
will
private
service
road.
one, and can we get, all of these lots to have a number? We have revised lot, and proposed lot. They should probably, we probably have lot one, lot two, and lot three, or something.
We can do that. We can call it lot,
We're putting a new lot line there. We're putting
what,
a-
so two of the lots already have tax map identifications. So you have the 43.151 and the 43.141. And then
Yeah.
we're creating a new lot one, but
Sake of just,
if you want me to call it lots 1, 2, 3, that's not a problem.
it's easier for the sake of discussion, instead of saying spot 141 and spot 151 all the time. We end up in the same difficulty here, guys, also where all of our, as Sam mentioned before, there's a lot of waivers. Along with, get all the information that you said that you had, Barry, about previously, the wetland delineations.
Yep.
We need to look at all of that and see if we think we want to do it again, if we need to be easy to come out again. If it's sufficient what we've done previously. There's a lot of 125-14, 15, 16, and as we said before, 21 and 22, that you have to ask, we need written waivers since it is a major subdivision. So I have to do a lot of homework before we can sort of do the next step.
So in the same way that the previous project agreed that they would, Heather agreed that she would do a write-up arguing as to why they need waivers for those subdivision sections and or provide the information that's required in those sections, one or the other. So we need to do the same thing with this. And before I forget, is this road, this private road now that's being extended somewhere into proposed lot 1, is that going to be long enough to require the turnoffs?
It's a weird, like,
the 50-foot turnoffs?
thing before our code thing.
Depends on the width of the road.
Well, they were gonna say, if the private road is large enough, you don't need it, because they can just, if 2 cars can pass.
Well, a portion of it is going to be 50 foot, but I don't know about the existing portion.
The 50 foot is the right of
The
way.
right of way.
Is the right of
Can
way.
you show the pavement with Barry?
Yes,
Thank
we
you.
will.
Then we'll know.
Long, short story long.
Yeah, I think that the board is discussing that if the applicant, as was mentioned, is open to not creating proposed lot 1, just to restate that what's probably obvious, it would be a much simpler lot line improvement.
Yeah, it'd be pretty fast and over and done with if we just did a lot line improvement to get the well,
Just
associated with the,
because you brought it up already, just to remind.
it's gonna be a lot of work that you're gonna have.
We'll discuss it. We'll discuss it with Mike, the applicant.
Board would be more amenable to that?
The board would definitely be more amenable to that because it really is a tough piece of, it doesn't check a lot of good boxes, it checks a lot of bad boxes for that 9.2 acres back there.
Doable, but a lot of work.
Doable, but a lot of work. If you want to be in for the long haul, because you love staying up at night with us.
Or spending a lot of money.
We're spending a lot of money. That's optionality, that's up to you.
So you're talking about connected to 43.1 acres?
So what, I guess you guys could discuss it and then come back to us either with some of, how you want to go
Get rid of
forward.
that one. Or make it.
Yeah, I guess they can come back with whichever way they decide.
Yeah, so why don't you just
Decide to
have a
do it.
discussion on your own and then come back with whichever approach you want to go forward. One with a lot of waivers and addressing the issues in major subdivisions, and one with LOI that can be done instantaneously.
Or make a little homework. Yeah. Yeah, so many.
Exactly, or make the mobile home park.
We'll consider that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, you may ask you, can the lot line of adjustment go through separately? I mean, do we need a public hearing for that? If it's
No,
just
you
the,
need a public hearing for that, no.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
No, you do not need a public hearing for lot line adjustment. That can go through separately.
Okay, so if we come back next month and decide not to do lot 1, that's something that can be approved at the next meeting?
Yep.
Okay. We'll take that into consideration and I'll discuss it with Mike and we'll get back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, members of the board.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I know, it's a right,
Yeah.
much more onerous than. All right, the last thing we have, guys, and this is really not for discussion, it's just for a resolution. I had a meeting with Barry Wells, went absolutely nowhere besides getting knives out, like the Hatfield employees on,
Was there a movie of that name?
yeah, I'm sure it is.
No, I understand.
So Mary Lou, Mike and I came up with, I'll give Mike a lot of credit on this, a very good idea, to make a request to just have a gateway meeting for the Rich application. So we can meet with all the big super heads that would know better what's going on here. So we'll have Dennis Doyle, who does a great job of leading a meeting. We'll have DOT, we'll have SHPO, we'll have everybody and anybody that Dennis will put together, so we can try to think of maybe some creative solution for the,
Sounds good. Because we've been going around and around.
exactly.
Can I have a discussion on that? So if I may speak up?
No, guys, I really think we should go for it with this because we really have gone in circles. Do I have a second?
Wait a second. Before you talk, can I speak up for the applicant here for a second? You know, the gateway, I've been to many, many gateway meetings with the county, and the purpose of those is when you have multiple agencies that are involved and to bring them all together. We've already communicated with all the agencies. We have a sign off from Parks and Recreation about what we're doing to the building. It's been approved already. The health department really has no involvement in this. I talked to the county highway department. They said it's an existing curb cut. They said they don't need any changes or review to it. And it really hinges down to the planning board approving the use of the parking lots on site. And I feel like just kicking us off to a gateway meeting is just a delay in the planning board sitting down and discussing the use of that parking lot.
There's a motion and a second. Now it's time for discussion from the board, but let's vote on it.
I don't actually understand what's being proposed.
What's being proposed, Sam, is the exact same thing that we've done before. Nothing has changed.
No, what the motion is.
The motion would be
To have a gateway
meeting with.
What is the gateway?
What a gateway meeting does is Ulster County Planning Board, they chair it and they bring together
Planning department.
the planning department, thank you, Mike.
Sorry.
Planning department, and they, as Dennis Doyle likes to term it, find a way to get to yes. So they, having seen all kinds of projects, get all the kind of people, all the people together that could have jurisdictional say on it, but also just it's the people there that know what's going on, talking about it, that have seen it. So you do a gateway and it's like a brainstorming session between all the parties.
But so nobody's going to show up to the gateway meeting other than maybe the planning board and the planner. I think it would be better if we sent it to the county planning board for an advisory opinion, which is something that has to be done.
But why wouldn't anybody show up to the gateway meeting?
Because I've been to these meetings. I tell you, the health department's not going to show up because they're going to say we have no involvement. The county highway department is going to say we have no involvement either. SHPO from Albany, they never show up and they already made a decision. We have no impact. So there are no other agencies.
Chairman,
Yes.
our issue, as I understand it from the past several meetings, is the parking. Right, that's really what it comes down to.
The parking and perhaps the need to create a walkway from.
Right, no,
But it's
all part of
parking
parking.
related, yes.
So,
And these are planning board issues.
could you let me finish speaking to the chairman and the board about this? So, at the last meeting where they appeared, you asked them to give us some alternate parking ideas.
And we got nothing.
That has not happened. I've heard good comments about the project, about what's proposed here, but the parking seems to be a real problem. We suggested that perhaps using municipal parking, but we might then need a crosswalk to go across a county highway.
Right.
This, to me, is where probably Barry's right in that not everyone's coming. Shippo's weighed in on it. Different places have weighed in on it. But even if we can get one with us, Dennis Doyle, and somebody from Ulster County Highway and the applicant to talk about maybe, and the town because of the municipal parking, maybe talking about that and talking about their alternatives.
And
That
that's a-
they, you
and
know,
that's a gate-
let's get the people.
That's a gateway meeting.
Yeah, and that's a gateway meeting. It may
How
not
is it-
be the
how-
full gateway.
How is the gateway meeting different
The difference, Sam, I know
than just the conversation we're having here? Like,
We've
what
asked the applicant-
procedural things can happen
We-
differently?
we've asked the applicant over and over again for parking information.
It's a brainstorming.
And we haven't gotten it.
We
And
get
so
the high,
maybe by having that
town
meeting
and
with
the
all
highway.
brains in the county and with the.
And let's see if we can come up
We're
with
still
something.
nowhere, we're still
So
talking.
in
You
other
know,
words,
the
what's
other-
different is we've added in the town representatives directly and the
Because of the
county
municipal
representatives
law.
directly
And the DOT.
and DOT.
Well, not DOT, right,
Not
it's
DOT.
county.
County
This-
highway.
Yeah, it's public
County.
works.
What is this document? This you made?
So this document I made to help us to go when we work for, when we do our, because hopefully we have a gateway meeting. But I went through some inconsistencies, so blue was the first narrative when you see parking. The peachy color is the second narrative. So they changed their square footage. Previously, we have only used the usable square footage to calculate parking, not storage. So in the first one, you have square footage, 1,000 square feet for the retail grocery, that takes 5 spaces. The general retail is the August narrative, 425. Then they switch it and say the retail grocery is now 1,900 square feet, but that's including in storage space, which you don't need a parking space for. And the same with the retail is the full square footage. So if we went with what we've done before, like in the drive-through diner, we would only need 7 parking places, and they're insisting on 11. 7 parking places already starts to become more feasible. Then if you go through all these other things, I wanted to give this to everybody in a electronic modality also. So I went through and took each one of our parking codes and made a comment. And I'd like everybody else to go through on their own and make a comment. So if you look at, the planning board shall apply the following standard to determine parking needs in cases of uncategorized uses. For such uses where the above standards may be only partially or not directly applicable, parking requirements may be reduced or increased by the planning board based upon the following criteria. Then I had a comment of what I just showed there. So to have everybody read through this, think of their own comments, and then hopefully have the input that we've had. By that time, we would have had a gateway meeting to also get people who've done an awful lot of this, that we could get together at the workshop meeting and have a better idea of, because at this juncture, 11 parking spaces, I think it's gonna be a denial, because we're struggling here.
Yeah, and I think that's the point of having the gateway
The
meeting,
gateway.
at least with the town and county, to try and find a way with the applicant to make it work. So I know that Mr. Medenbach does not want to do that. He'd rather just go
Well,
straight through.
let me ask you, did the board read the letter we sent?
You know, if you choose to do that, there's, from what I've heard already, there's a risk that you're gonna deny. So I think you're trying to help.
Exactly.
That's what I was gonna ask. So applicant asking for more parking.
That is unable, that we believe in our discussions, is unable to be, because if you read through all, there's a gazillion waivers that when they ask for, there's a gazillion difficulties to put all the parking. No different than what you saw before.
It's a
Right?
tight spot.
It's a very tight
Right.
spot, and we haven't received anything else, so. it's
Well,
just-
I did send a letter. Did the planning board read the letter, the comment letter we had? And I can just kind of, so basically, you had asked us to look at doing, angled parking or through parking. And, the septic system's in the back, behind the parking lot. So if you tried to put a driveway over that, that would be a problem. We wouldn't be allowed to do that. It would cause the ultimate failure of the septic system. So we're kind of stuck.
No, it's for real.
Can I just ask another question? With the loading and the unloading, does that take place in the parking lot or on the Main Street next door?
A driveway next door.
Yeah.
That's in between the house
Okay.
There's a door there.
and you have that also doesn't meet
Can that
code.
fit trucks?
It doesn't meet our code, it would have to give them they'd have to officially ask for a waiver.
So it's
Why don't you call
Like
it?
a
West-
bad idea all over.
Can I just try to summarize, so the impasse, to try to summarize the impasse, which is I think maybe what the thing that I'm not totally understanding is, there's the site plan that is problematic in a few ways, mostly relating to ingress and egress and parking of cars. We have the ability and perhaps even the inclination to grant waivers where possible. However, we can't grant those waivers unless there's a request for those waivers and an updated site plan that reflects what they would do if we granted the waivers.
But also, no, our number one,
So like,
Can I say we requested the waiver in writing already, and maybe the board doesn't have that letter?
A waiver of from 14 down to 11. We're now talking about from 11 down to 7. But so like the impasse is we can't approve something that they haven't suggested.
right, exactly.
And we're
All
sort
they
of
suggested
saying,
is
like-
11.
Well, excuse me, we did make the request. We requested the waiver in the last letter I sent the planning board.
The letter, Barry, first of all, you don't have the floor. But second of all, the letter doesn't request 7. The letter requests a waiver from 14 down to 11. So your request for a waiver is a different waiver than the waiver that we're currently discussing.
Okay, what waiver are you looking for?
Well, the way I'm trying to understand it, I think I'm getting closer to clarity, is that we're looking at the parking spaces suggested on the current site plan. We feel that they don't work despite their approval in 1970 or whatever year it was. And we're saying we're inclined to grant some sort of waiver to use the town's parking lot across the street and reduce the number of spaces in the lots owned by Mr. Rich. But in the absence of a request for that type of waiver, and in the absence of a suggested site plan that would like match what would happen if such a waiver were granted, we are disinclined to approve what's currently ahead
Well,
of
and we
us.
also want to make sure that the county would allow a
Allow it.
crosswalk across
Right.
there.
Therefore, in order to get like an actual proposal that we'd be able to approve, that's the goal of the gateway meeting. Sorry, that last one wasn't a sentence. The goal of the gateway meeting would be to get a proposal
It would
like,
be-
on paper.
Where
So-
the county could say that, yes, you know what, we like the idea, we could do a crosswalk, we'll do a crosswalk. And our town board representative will be there to say, well, we would definitely be on board.
There's
for
plenty of
municipal
spots in
parking.
the
We have
municipal
plenty of
lot.
spots in that, so we have all of that ahead of time, so we could say, well, here's what we approve. Because right now, all we have to say is, it's 11 parking spaces right there, and it is, or die. That's what they're saying is, that's it, end of discussion. You've got, so there's no indication of we can share parking. We don't even know what the retail is, the generalized retail. Maybe the hours are very different than the grocery hours. You have grocery hours, this is something that Dennis Doyle would be very good at, grocery, I mean, they've seen lots of these applications. It's gonna be hipsters coming up from the city, I'm making this up, they're gonna go to grocery shopping only on the weekend.
The dance club and the workout place have different hours. Yeah.
Exactly, and the dance club will be at different hours, so we haven't, but one retail that is there, we don't even know what it's for, it's just, we're gonna figure out what.
So if we vote for a gateway meeting, are we as the planning board signing over any of our?
No, none whatsoever.
No, it's a brainstorming.
It's a brainstorm, we're
So
saying we'd
then-
like to have a brainstorming session with these guys.
And what would come back hopefully is like an updated, a modified plan that would
Exactly,
include sort of concessions and negotiations.
and they could come back and say,
So we can still say no.
we can still say no, we can do whatever we want. We override
So the
everything,
downside is that it's just kind of like a spinning our wheels, wasting time.
which is what we're doing right now, yet again,
Yeah,
which is what we're doing over and
I feel
over
like I've
again
learned
on this
something.
project.
Sam, so with the gateway meeting, you know, when you guys circulate for comments on applications, what this does is brings everybody before
Live
COVID in
action.
the same room at the same table. Now it brings them all together by a Zoom meeting where everybody's bouncing ideas off of each other. And, you know, I don't disagree with Barry that SHPO's not going to show up,
Right.
but Department of Health probably will, and DPW probably will, so.
And we don't even know at this point, maybe before a larger audience, they'll say more, because Barry's saying Department of Health isn't needed, but if you've got a deli counter, Department of Health is gonna have some say, if you're slicing meats and you've got refrigeration and et cetera. So unless it's all dry pasta in there, so there's a lot of questions that I think we're at an impasse, as is happening right now, that I think will be better served if Mr. Fink and Barry are presenting for somebody that.
Mr. Rich.
Mr.
Rich, excuse me, this is the applicant. Do you mind if I address the board for 1 minute?
We'd love if you speak up.
Great. Hi, guys. Thanks. So we were denied from the last planning board meeting because we were looking to have offices on the second floor, which would have created more parking. And we were told that we would need a variance because we don't have a full acre of space. So we've removed that from our application to help this go better. As far as I understand with the parking, there are 3 main options. One would be the plan that was approved in 96, which maybe is too many spots. It was 11 spots. Cars kind of go in and they go out. Cars going in and out is not legal according to the code. So that would be option A. Option B would be we take the 2 parking lots and we do kind of a U-turn around the small antique store. Our neighbor, Dave Roberts, as I said in the September meeting, reached out to us and said, love that you're doing a grocery store. Please just don't drive around the back of this building and shine headlights into our house. And I promised him we wouldn't do that. So that's why we haven't proposed that. And so really the only other parking plan would be all parking in the municipal lot, and our driveways we just don't use. I think, you know, currently they're being used for about 8 cars. They've probably been used as driveways for as long as, you know, Main Street has been commercial. I don't know, maybe there used to be buildings there, but you know, our feeling is if all of the parking is across the street, we're going to have a much tougher time as a business, especially a community facing business where people may not want to walk 500 feet. It's a psychological thing. It's hard to do that if you're a place that's just going to serve coffee. And in order to make this an easier process, we originally did want to do a deli counter and we decided not to. There are all these things that we have taken out of the plan to make this an easier sell to open a community facing business, frankly, because we wanted to open during COVID because delivering groceries was part of our business plan. And at this point, there's another grocery store in Marbletown that started a few weeks ago that's, I think, opening in January, that's already targeting, you know, customers in Accord. So just to be totally honest with the board, we're a little bit worried at this point. I bought the building last January. We started the planning process in April. We were in the first meeting in July. We're not expecting this to go really quickly, and we do want to work with the board, but I'm worried if we're not able to open until June, or we have to forego all of our parking spots. I mean, we have more parking than anybody in the hamlet.
Can I interrupt you for 1 second? Because I think there's a misunderstanding. We're not saying put all your spots in the municipal lot. We're saying you don't have enough room to get as many spots as you need in your lot. So use the municipal, if it's doable, as an overflow so we're giving you extra parking.
I think
but county might require a crosswalk. But we're not saying you can't use your parking lot at all.
That's a great idea, but if we're proposing 11 spots, does the board have a number of parking spots that would be comfortable to discuss.
We want to do the gateway meeting to
Yeah,
have
we're-
some other experts help us out on.
Guys, I think we need to go to the gateway meeting because this is Groundhog Day again. And what we've been through, we don't even have a new narrative knowing that there's no deli or now you wanted to do, it doesn't match any of the narrative. It was all very vague. So I think we need this to be tightened up by the applicant. So they present it at a gateway meeting because we're not going forward at this juncture.
So we just lost the applicant. I think he got internet access problem.
He's coming back. He's coming back.
He's on his way back.
So guys, can we just set this for a gateway meeting and close this?
There's a motion and a second before you call the.
Is all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstain.
So can I ask how many planning board members will be showing up at the gateway meeting?
You can't have board members because we have quorum then. You'll have one person.
Well, you can, yeah, it will likely just be one person.
It'll
I
be
mean,
one
you
person
could
per
have
board.
two, you could have three if you wanted to.
Right.
But I don't think that,
Yeah.
generally, we only send one, Mary.
I'll go if you want. I'll go.
Yeah, I'm still not going.
Not you.
Sam, it usually is during the day. just so you're
Well,
aware.
as long as I know what it is.
Sam, I will pick Savage. Freezing cold for you, naked.
You're making it the coleslaw?
I will make it in the coleslaw. All right? And Zorian will film it.
I think this is the only way to move forward. We have been spending too much time on this, and
Yeah, I think in
That's it.
general, everybody's happy with the concept.
we love the concept.
So you'll have Brianna write to.
So yes, Brianna will write, exactly. Guys, I have a couple other things very quickly on other matters. I was talking to Bruce, and he had a good idea as long as this doesn't go.
Bruce from the ZBA?
Yeah, Bruce from the ZBA. That maybe once a quarter or once every half year, we just do like a CEO quarterly report to each other as to what's been going on. So we thought maybe in January, they said we had 15 applications. They were for this kind of thing. We decided this kind of stuff. So we know better what's going on. We said we had 20 applications. There were 5 lot lines, 3 subdivisions. And here's what we see the most, so everybody knows.
Lauren, we used to do a report to the town board at the end of the year, and so did the ZBA, but that somewhere along the way stopped, so.
Like an executive summary.
An executive
Exactly.
summary meeting,
Yeah.
exactly. And I said maybe we could do it at our January workshop meeting.
Why don't we just send them the minutes? Send each other the minutes.
Well, everybody gets the
So you're
minutes.
saying like
but-
someone on the ZBA, we put them on our agenda, give them 15 minutes or something, they'd run through and give us like a bullet pointed sheet. and
Exactly.
We do the same.
And we do the same.
Yeah, seems helpful.
Because I think it would be helpful because they can all read the minutes. They're up there, Maryville, and they sure know.
I mean, I do watch the YouTube live every time. Oh. Aaron's the
I was gonna say.
ZBA correspondent.
So I will correspond with the ZBA just to see if they would like to set that up. And then for our next meeting, we will go over the short-term rental at the workshop meeting. The short-term rentals, adding the open space, yay, Mike, and the natural resources plan and the historic, the historic resources reconnaissance, awkward name.
Dark
report,
skies.
Dark skies report, et cetera. So if you want to, if you have any comments, whatever, they give some time to read through and look at them.
What's this bowl?
Are we doing bowler?
Bowler engineer.
And, also Bowler, just so everybody knows, we don't have to go through this process with the gateway, because they requested the gateway. See, some applicants do it on their own, quite a few applicants with big projects.
It's a great.
Bowler is Dollar General. So you will see the map there, just so you know, there's no application to us as of yet, it was an FYI for you. This is
Did they
the
update
new driveway that they have proposed.
In the same location.
In the same location.
Ooh. Is this thing under
Oh my God.
pending in our folder?
No, it's not.
Brianna just sent it.
It's not on the floor.
No, it's the brand new.
Okay, but I do have the.
Came in late this afternoon.
I didn't know what was
Got the
They
map.
now have
Yeah,
entrance
this
and
is a new
exits
site
on
plan.
both County Road 6 and 209. So they are asking for a gateway meeting. They will now need public works and DOT. They actually need work. So, you guys would be, in the loop here.
Like, can we get training credits for going to gateway meetings?
No.
Aaron, will you go to gateway meetings?
I will go to the gateway meeting for Dollar General. I will not go to the gateway meeting for.
Is on the agenda for that?
It's a, yes, there's a new.
It's under other matters.
Just for.
Just for the other matter.
I didn't see that on the one that, to be honest.
I see the-
Yeah, the new project.
So anyway, you guys, this is nothing as of now, that we have to go to the gateway. This is just, so you know, there's no discussion. We're having applications on that end. So let's make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Are you not sending it for a gateway?
No, they are. We don't have to send it. They're out there doing it.
No, you have to request a
Yeah.
gateway. They
No.
can't, the applicant can't ask for a gateway, you have to request.
Are you sure? Yes, they
Yes.
can. They've done it before.
Dennis does not.
You know what?
Let's put the suspenders on with the belt.
Okay,
Make a motion.
I make a
to
motion
refer.
to refer them for a gateway.
Because.
Is that new, Mike? I've been to
No,
lots of
it's
meetings.
always been that way because what we don't want is the applicant sort of sidestepping. the
I
board.
agree, but they go and do it anyway.
Well, yeah, but, and
So
that's
do I
why.
have a second for that? 'Cause-
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, again.
Motion to adjourn.
Now, should we adjourn?
Laura,
or-
the problem is if it depends on who it gets sent to.